Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to episode 20 of Battle Rap Resume. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're someone that's listened to most of the episodes, you've been tagging along, you've been subscribing since the subscription numbers are in the kind of the single digits or the double digits. They're in the triple digits now, nearing 200, which is a minor thing. I say that out loud only to kind of timestamp this. We can all listen back in the future and laugh at how 200 was so impressive. But thank you so much if you're one of those 200, or if you're going to be, or if you were and you're unsubscribed but you're still checking out the channel. Thank you in any of those reasonings. Just thank you for listening. This is, as I say, number 20. You can get in contact at battlerapresume@gmail.com. You can also comment on the videos, and Twitter as well. Twitter is the best place if you just kind of want to know what's some of the news with the podcast. I always tend to announce future guests, share things on there. Like there's an episode quite a while back now with Soul, which is one of my personal favourite episodes. Really, really good episode. And basically, one of the things we mentioned was Danny Myers, at Molotov Myers on Twitter. Shout out Danny Myers. Potentially they were going to battle. I don't know if that's been announced. Maybe it has. When this episode comes out, this is quite far in the future, as it were, kind of backwards. But yeah, maybe that happens. But anyway, we mentioned a YouTube comment, and I posted that YouTube comment on Twitter, and it's kind of artifacts, a scrapbook of the history of Battle Rap Resume, if I can be bothered to put anything up there. And new episodes, so at Battle Rap Resume on Twitter. And finally, we have a Redbubble account. We are selling stickers mainly of the Battle Rap Resume logo. That is just purely to cover sort of bandwidth costs and stuff. If you're, you may notice that if you're listening on the actual podcast, there might be kind of a limit. It might go back to like 10 episodes. It might not go back to episode 1. That's because you can only store so many episodes for a cost. And, a lot of episodes do it. So say Dan Carlin or Mark Maron do it in the sense where they go into an archive, all the past episodes, and you have to pay. We don't do that here. We just put them on YouTube, which is all free. But if you want to see more episodes on there, just maybe buy a sticker, maybe contribute some bandwidth, but there's no pressure. I understand. I listen to millions of podcasts. They have millions of ads at the start. I ignore every single one. So if you do that, I have no problem with that. Anyway, on to today's guest. Today's guest is someone that is incredibly unique. And incredibly unique in the sense they're incredibly unique that they're so talented as well. And they're so consistent across so many battles. I mean, against Harry Baker, which is Pamflet's most recent battle, Harry says that, you've had 73 battles. He can't name 73 battlers, something along those lines. There is that exasperation there. But Pamphlet was always someone that stuck out for me. Like, Pamphlet was a figure in the early days, for sure. I can't remember exactly how I stumbled across you, but I mean, once you see Pamphlet battle, you can't really forget him battle. And if he's your sort of thing, which for me it definitely was, that kind of intelligent multi-stream, that meta-ness, that adoption of an identity in a time where, I mean, being ironic and the theatrical performance is currency in modern battle rap, but especially in those 2010, those when Chris Leese would be around and, people like that. And I say that voice in jest, like big up Chris Leese recently on Iron Bars against Evil, great. But you know what I'm saying? There was a kind of dominant mode like Pamphlet. I want to welcome you by just asking, how would you describe your identity when you were battling?
Hello, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said I was unique. My girlfriend will laugh because I often compare myself to a lot of my favourite comedians. So I think I'm not unique. I think what I've done is taken from my favourite aspects of rappers and comedians and used them to my advantage.
And who is in that pot, the rappers, comedians?
Well, I mean, comedians, it's Rick Mail.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned him a few times, actually, in battles.
Yeah, I mean,
Bottom
I try and get
yeah.
as many references out as I can of things that I'm in love with. So
yeah, I like that.
I get little emails here and there from people just thanking me for little lines, and it's those little seeds that I've planted that are the most rewarding when they finally grow into...
One of my favourite from yours is in the Harry Baker battle, where you say, like, you're doing an Australian battle, and you say, like, he's an Arthur, like Pauline Fowler, like an EastEnders bar.
He's an author. It's an author.
Like, I was forced to watch EastEnders as a kid, but I remember those characters, and it just kind of, to me, that's as good as a gun bar.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are so obscure that I don't even bother with them.
Right.
But there's a character on a program I used to enjoy called Horrible, and I battled J90 not J90, J1 and Nate, and I was so keen to say you look like this one character from this one sitcom that no one's ever seen, but I didn't say it. So, but I watch a lot of comedy. Yep. It's as I say, it's all boiled down from that.
And the comedians.
The comedians, Russell Brand, Vic Reeves. Vic Reeves is big for me. Rick Mail. But also you've got a lot of like David Williams and Matt Lucas and stuff like that. That's kind of where the gay aspect came from. The campiness, because it's very
original in battling, I should say. Then perhaps maybe outside
it was
culture.
When I did it, I think. Yeah, it was when I did it.
You sound lame using the word groundbreaking, but it truly was. Like, it's very unusual, and it worked because you had such skill behind it. Obviously, the writing writing is really intelligent throughout. You're one of the few Don't Flop battlers that I've encountered who had a battle on YouTube before his tryout.
Yeah, so I mean, I was a fan before. I mean, you say groundbreaking. It was hard not to be groundbreaking in those early days because there was so little battle rap about that it was like true. Anyone that did anything, it was almost new, and it was exciting being able to write and not worry about has this been done before, has that been done before. It was such a fresh page, and you could just be yourself, but you could grow as well without worrying about treading on anyone's toes because there wasn't as many people in the scene at the time.
Mm-hmm. And you say you were around early. I mean, the first sort of officially recorded thing on Verse Track was a battle against, we'll kind of touch on it now, against Looney Ben in Grind Times Now's, not their Western division, not their Northern division, their Tiny Chat division. Yes. Which, I mean, times it so much because most people, 16 younger, are like, what the fuck's Tiny Chat anyway?
So I was a fan. I watched the WRCs as, a lot of those early fans did. I was on the Jump Off forums. I added and Archaic because I saw an interview they did for their local radio station before the WRCs, and I got their real names, so I added them. So I was a fan from the early stage, and then all of a sudden, like I thought I could battle rap. I used to practice and sort of battle people I saw in the streets, and all of a sudden
in the
I had
street, just
no, in my head. So there'd be an old guy.
Okay, right. Like, an old guy.
You're an older guy, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Just practicing multisyllabics, practicing witty responses, and just being able to think on your feet. So I did that, and it was this opportunity with Tiny Chat to meet some legends. I was talking almost face to face via a webcam with Thesaurus and Frankie Waps, and
Pat Stay was involved in one.
Pat Stay used to come in. So I had banter and repartee. I was the English guy, so I was in a little sort of social circle with some legends, and from an early age, and when you sort of get shot down, we just do a freestyle battle. Okay, obviously always against the unknowns because known rappers don't want to embarrass themselves by having to think on the spot like that because you're not always on. But I'd get to rap in front of these legends, and that was an amazing experience for me. And Looney Ben I think it was a tournament of some kind, and it was just something I enjoyed doing. It was a great opportunity. I don't think that would happen again now. I think those guys are on an upper echelon now. The guys like the Thesaurus, and they don't need to have that kind of fan interaction because they get it on a daily basis in real life now.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because Looney Ben is the start of October 2010, and during that month you had 3 uploads, the middle being Ahab, which was 3 days later off Looney Ben. You must have felt like a battle celebrity. 2 battles out in 2 days, the Pamphlet name spreading there. And the third battle is the one I just want to talk about before we jump into the tryout proper, is kind of the actual thumbnail sums up the video itself. It looks like the opening to the Brady Bunch. With kind of the 4 squares by 3, and you can see Thesaurus and Pat Stay in the thumbnail. You can see yourself. Like, what was that dynamic? It seems so weird to me now as an online forum that you would just have your webcam on and there'd be like 12 screens. Like, how did people communicate?
There was one or 2 central guys, and you had your guys like Pat Stay. I mean, they'd probably be sitting there writing. The Thesaurus was sitting there writing, and Tiny Chat was a browser he had up, and he'd clip to it every now and again. You get sort of groupies come in, and all the guys would try and lech on them, and it was a good time.
Ain't nothing changed, man.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm glad I'm not a part of all that anymore because it's embarrassing sometimes. But
And I mean, before this, before battling, was there a writing gene in you already? Did you like to rag on people, or?
I mean, I can't remember them now, but I have in the past remembered some rhymes that I wrote before Jump Off and before battling, and it was multisyllabics. It was punchlines. It was if you think you'll make it, you're lying to yourself. You've got less goals in your life than Darius for sale. Stuff like that. So I was writing little sort of funny lines, and it was schemes as well. It was like, right, what can I write about football? What can I write about this? What can I write about that?
Can't wait till we get to the football bars. So good.
The greatest thing about battling is you sit down with a pen and a bit of paper and you write about your opponent. And if I had to write a track now, it would be like, what inspiration? I mean, it's been done so many times, the whole love, hate, sort of self-deprivation, all that sort of stuff has been done and done to death. Whereas you've got this person, and this person is big, this person is short, this person is tall, this person is skinny, this person is goofy.
Everyone's
always
different.
Got that fresh inspiration every time you start writing. And that's what I love about battling.
Yeah, for sure. And how did this battle, this is your tryout against Ahab.
He thinks what he's spitting will harm, but in fact I played cricket with that shit on your arm. He loves sport like life. He gets gloves for half price.
This is on Punch Out Battles, a country you're not from. Apparently your flight was paid for. A tryout battle, and you're against a big guy. This has 57,000 views. Like, this just seems like fantasy. How did this happen?
So it was in Australia when Don't Flop started. I watched a few jump off 2-on-2s they did outside Highbury, the Emirates. And then Earth started Don't Flop, and I inboxed him and said, when I was in Australia, I had a battle arranged against some little kid. And I inboxed him. I said, I'm coming back to England soon. I said, I want to do an event. And it was the event in Essex where ZT battled O'Shea.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, I've got something on that card. And then he said, send me some, something of you rapping or battling or just anything of you. And I had nothing to send him. So the guy I was supposed to be battling against cancelled on me. So I got back to England. I really wanted to be a battle rapper. I had no sort of anything. And rapmusic.com, which was the main battle rap website, which is where this sort of tiny chat emanated from. It was people
it's mentioned a lot, that website. Big genesis point.
Battlerap.com was like, that was where you spoke to battle rappers before Facebook, before all that, all this sort of thing. You got all the battle rappers on there. You got literally sort of the top 50 at the time battle rappers. They all used to pass through there.
Goddamn.
So I found this guy called Swaggertron who was asking about starting a league in Holland.
Right.
And inboxed him and lied and said that I was an experienced battle rapper from England. And I'd never done it before, never done it before.
Wow.
So his response was, yeah, we've got someone. He's battled Jin, and he speaks English, and he's got one arm. And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I'll take that. So as I was saying before, it's when you start writing for someone, there's 100 things you can write about. And the opportunity to write about, and it sounds like I'm being a cunt here, but the opportunity to write about one arm was too much for me to pass up. So, and it was easy. That experience of writing was easy. It was easy because all you do is you think, what jokes are there to be said about a guy with one arm, and it's sad, but true.
You have some absolutely brilliant one-arm jokes in this battle, I have to say. There's some hilarious lines, because I admit, because you've said he's got one arm, so now people jumping into this battle will expect it. But when I clicked on it, I mean, the first thing that I thought when I clicked on this was it's a foreign debut, as I say. It is very, very unique, and it's a great shot for you and stuff like that. But yeah, the fact that his arm clips the camera and you don't really notice, and then you realise, oh yeah, obviously, again, we're not mocking or anything. This is a great battle, but he is without a hand. And again, he has only 3 battles, one of which is on Don't Flop. Like, was this a guy of huge acclaim? Like, at the time, I don't really remember this guy.
He battled Jin in a freestyle thing. The reason that I got him was because he was one of only 2 English-speaking battle rappers. So that was how it was set up. I paid for my plane, and my train and my transport. And I paid for my mate to fly over because I didn't want to be on my own. So it all come out of my pocket. So people talking about this headhunters now, you've got to pay £100. It's very expensive to get into anything that you love doing, and you've got to be prepared to pay to reap the rewards. And that's what I did. But then the second time I went to Holland, I got 200 quid, an apartment to myself for a week, and so it evened itself out. They rewarded me when I went back. So
yeah, and it's a great battle as well. It's not like you went out there and it was like, what the fuck was that about? Like, from both
it could
of
have
you.
been. It could have been. I had the image in my head that I was shit hot because I liked the stuff that I wrote, but I bet 99% of the battle rappers think that as well, especially in their first one. And it's the proof is in the pudding. You need to hear that reaction. You need to get that feedback. So you can't guarantee that you're going to get over. And in my first round, I didn't get my last 4 bars out. Mm-hmm. So that scared me. And in my second round, I actually had a flip. And if you notice, I speed through my lines because I was so worried about getting cut off. And since then, I've stuck to time limits because I've always been worried about not getting my last 4 bars out.
You're always going to be your own worst critic, and that's understandable. I didn't really notice those things, but I appreciate there's been much more than you. I'm going to go out on a limb. No offense, Ahab. But this is kind of a minor classic in my eyes, like just in the sense that both of you deliver the rounds really strongly. You both get reaction. There's a few slept on things from you because of the culture clash. I don't know why, for instance, in the second, which we're going to get to, you reference Max Branning. Again with the EastEnders bars, Pam, but it's all good.
Well, that was before the big wordplay thing, and it was come to the East End. So I had the Max Branning thing, and you have to make stuff tie together, even if it is loosely.
You do.
You have to tie stuff together.
You do, but the reason I use minor classic is just because the vibe's great. This is a really fun battle to watch. There's a big crowd there. Everyone's in a love battle rap mode.
I walk in there, especially when I'm nervous and I'm unsure of who I'm and who I was then as well. The person I was then. I walked in there and I danced on my own on the dance floor before the battles. I wooed during the hot punchlines, even though I didn't understand what they were saying. Wow. If I felt they were being good, I reacted loudly. Wow. And I did that in my first Don't Flop battle as well. And people look at you as someone who's out for a good time then, you're not sitting in the corner on your own, keeping to yourself. So I think they felt that, and I think I got a good reaction from the crowd because of it.
That's like Bard did that with Agent, just work in the room before you battle, even though it's not your hometown battle. And yeah, exactly like you say, reaping the rewards. And Ahab begins, you're going to try your best, he's saying of you. He's going to try his best not to get tired. He talks about the time limits. 2 women he's been with only know you as the Minute Man, that kind of stuff. But it's good. He keeps going on about the kind of the legitimacy of your parentage. He knows ABC.
What do you write about me? What do you write about me if you don't know anything about me? And he didn't know anything about me. That's the hardest part in battle rap, is when you don't know anything about your opponent.
And yeah, it's kind of stuff he could maybe do for anyone, but it does kind of work. He knows ABC, but which one is Daddy, kind of thing. It's not bad. Yours is much better, I think. But you encourage people here. You're playing on that kind of, as you say, people. Kind of people are going to be into you, like you, warm to you. Kind of, it's the big British guy with the Maltese. How are they not going to kind of find you endearing in some sort of way? But you say, please cheer, laugh if you don't get it. You're pandering.
Well, it's being new, isn't it?
I'm not saying that sounded more annoyed than I meant.
No, I mean, if you, it's like if you went on your first date and you didn't know what to say, you might say, "This is my first date. I don't know what to say." It's. I was admitting that I was worried, and please like me, but because I was prepared to say that without having a reason to, and there was no ulterior motive there. It was just genuinely like, you might not understand what I'm saying, just react. The third round on that, talking about earlier I wasn't sure he knew anything about me. Obviously there were the pictures of me dressed as a woman on Facebook, which came out at a later battle, the next one. And I had a whole start of my third was about that, but he never said anything. So it was almost like I wasted those dress bars addressing a dress that he didn't address.
Everything he ever owned has been secondhand except the second hand.
Yep.
He sucks at a game of golf, but would eliminate the folk at a game of scissors, paper, stone.
Glad you like that one. Yeah, I like that one.
Did really like that one. I thought that was really good. Just the blunt force of his unyielding. He says that nice flip from him here. He kind of anticipates your angles, I suppose. It's kind of obvious that. it's like it's like Cracker says that about ginger jokes, and he says that Marlo says that to Cracker about ginger jokes, kind of like, we didn't notice, kind of thing. Like, of course you're going to have bars about that, and he says that your disability is creativity.
Yep.
It's quite nice. I mean, he kind of ends with your greatest ever achievement was getting a football signed by David Beckham, but then he talks about you sucking cock in South London. That's why they call him Cockney.
Yeah.
It's. He does it well. He has a good presence as well. He eggs the crowd up. He's kind of, he's alert. He
was really good. And the worst feeling for me, apart from that whole battle, was leaving. I stood outside and I had a joint with my mate. Obviously, because it's in Holland, it's legal.
Well,
a few people coming back to the station saying, "Yeah, I love that," and that was great. But seeing him walk off on his own, I thought, oh shit, I felt bad because it was his territory, and he was the sort of local champion, and to go there and beat him, it was a weird experience. But I think the ball was in my court just because he didn't know anything about me. I think that was the most important thing, and I think I was more skilled in the modern era of battle rap, whereas he was more on stage freestyle. Rhyming words. I think that was his sort of more his forte. Mm-hmm. So I think the cards were stacked against him.
But they were stacked against you as well, man. This is a very hard way to debut, and you did incredibly well. Like, it shows so good on you. Like, was this the footage you immediately shuffled onto or was getting onto Don't Flop already a done deal by this point?
It was already a done deal. I'd inboxed, told him that it'd gone well in Holland. And I wanted to do a battle. I wanted to battle Stowaway because I'd seen that he was good. Obviously, we became partners later on, and we did eventually battle. But he impressed me, and I wanted to challenge. And they offered me Hazard, and Hazard was in a similar boat. He had one battle and impressed and won, so I took that battle.
And what was Don't Flop to you at this point? Like, obviously, it had its established stars, so it wasn't like coming from the roots level anymore. It was kind of going at a certain pace.
Yeah. So as I say, I got into it from an early start. I used to download individual videos off the Jump Off website before YouTube was really a thing.
Wow.
And so Don't Flop was just a progression. I'd followed it from the start. I'd watched, sort of not live, but when the video had come out of saying to the cameras, "We're going to call up people and cipher. Me and Kruger are going to cipher with you on the phone." So I'd followed idea from that to spawning this league, and then this league doing well, and it just being a hotbed of British battle rap talent. I mean, it wasn't just British, it was the world. It was really representing on the world stage.
Yeah, it's incredible. And 2011, which we're digging into now, where your debut begins, over 20 battles for Don't Flop in that first year. Like, that just wouldn't happen anymore. Who's out there, say like your Crafties and Heretics, they had big years last year. I think they did 7 battles. Yeah. Like, okay, some of these are doubles, okay, some of these are freestyle, and mixed in that is like a Cold City appearance, Punch Out appearance, Got Beef appearance. Yeah. It seems like you started slow, and then once you got that opportunity, you weren't going to let it go.
Well, you say started slow. I did Ahab in, was it the October? Mm-hmm. And then I did September. Then I did October was Prince Kong, which didn't get released. An art festival, and then a week later I
can't imagine Prince Kong an art festival, to be honest.
No, I know. That was bizarre as well. I was hanging out outside. That was sort of because when you I don't know how it is now, but when you go to a battle event 5 years ago, and you meet he just raised an eyebrow at me and said, "All right," because he was a celebrity in that scene,
right?
And he probably got a lot of people wanting his time, and I think he was probably quite guarded. So hanging outside that art festival with Prince Kong and a few others, and smoking a joint, it was a good experience. So then I did that, and I did a 2-on-2 where I was Chronicle's partner because I couldn't get a partner.
Yeah.
And Chronicle took me under his wing and said he was hosting the event, but he said he'd partner with me.
3 battles you did with Chronicle.
Yeah, so that was my third battle. I tag teamed with Chronicle. Mm-hmm.
And what are your views on Chronicle trying to take down the Don't Flop channel recently?
I mean, I've got my opinions on Chronicle. I mean, I'll say now, I think I did a lot for him. I mean, he might say I didn't, but I think he was easier to talk to than and in that respect, I did a lot of at the time, because I think was dealing with sort of a lot of egos, as he always does, because there's a lot of people in Battle Rap that have egos, and Chronicle needed me more than did. So Chronicle was a lot more sociable, a lot more easy to deal with. So Chronicle used to, I used to arrange my battles through Chronicle and go to Manchester. It was a nice day out and that, and I did a lot for him. The O'Shea battle I set up, and then the Blizzard battle I set up.
Wow. Huge battles. That O'Shea battle especially, massive.
Yeah.
Coming off the championship, like.
Yeah, 2 in 2 months. That was 2 big battles that I did in 2 months. And
they're the most memorable battles from those events.
Yeah, I mean, do you know
what? No one remembers Briggsy Nash.
Where I was at that point in my life,
no one.
I had a computer, I had a bong, and I had no job. So I had my own room. So I was sitting there in my room in this shared house, writing, practicing. I was battle rap at that point. You know what I mean? It's changed since then.
Yeah.
But and that's what I say to people as well. It's not really something. If you want to make a go at this, you can't do it with a full-time job, which is sad to say, but. If you've got other commitments, you need to be 100% focused on this hobby. You really do.
No, I feel that. And this first battle that we're going to get into is Matter, but it's just interesting just to hear some of your thoughts on this mega year, which I'm not sure off the top of my head if you do more in 2012 than 2011, but both those years were, insanely productive for you. So many good battles from back then as well. From battling no names like K-Snatch, who remembers that guy, YTV, to battling Definition, and again, battling Unanimous and Soul in a 2-on-2, battling Sigourney Fizzle at a huge event, that event, which is just before the Matter battle. So Matter's coming off the heat of that battle. Huge event with the Lunacy and Matter Eddie P Frisco clash. That's a classic, right? Don't Flop classic.
Yep. So it was coming thick and fast at the time. There was a lot to write for, but the thing is, you get in that zone. So it's like you get in that zone of writing, and the thing is, when you're inspired to write for one battle, it leads on to be inspiration to write for another one.
I'm like Rick Mail in Pigtails, whereas Mark is rotten. We're like the cast of Bottom and Arm the Hot One.
The Matter one was funny.
Yeah.
Because getting to these places is hard. Do you know what I mean? In Megabus, because the thing is as well, I live 20 minutes out of London, so
yeah.
To get to Manchester, you've got to go 20 minutes to London, which is 15 quid on the train, and then you've got to get the Megabus from London to wherever you're going, and then when you get to wherever you're going, you've got to then work out transport from the Megabus hub or whatever it is to where you're going. So it's a long journey. So if you can get a lift, get a lift. Mm-hmm. But the only lift I could get to Matter was on the back of a motorbike. And I'd never been on a motorbike before.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I've never been on one either, man. I can't imagine.
Well, I mean, I'd gone to the gym on the back of my mate's motorbike, do you know what I mean? But in terms of a motorway, I'd never done that. Right. So you're talking 4 hours on the back of a motorbike in the winter. It was raining, I think. My jacket blew open at one point and was flapping in the wind, and just felt like I was going to pull me off the back of this thing. It was horrible. So we arrived at my mate's house who lived in Leeds, just to go and sort of get ready. And I turned up at the door, and he thought I'd been on ketamine all night. I was blue. My nose was just bright red. Do you know what I mean? And I was sweating. I was just...
Poor man.
I know, yeah. And then an hour later, I was on stage, so...
Jeez, this is the first ever Don't Flop event in Leeds. Great time for Don't Flop here. Probably the most famous battle of this is Mickey versus Luna. This is a cool venue as well. What do you remember of this place?
Not much really.
No.
The event was substandard because it was one of the first ever tryout events.
Right.
It was a tryout event. There was the 2 main events.
And this is Matt to put this together with
I believe so, yeah. I mean, I'd been hounding Matter for a while. I mentioned in my YTV battle about how I was wanting to battle Matter because I saw us as 2 up and comers. Do you know what I mean? We both won X amount on the trot. we're both sort of looking to move to the next level, and it just made sense to me that we battled.
It's interesting to see the sort of people that always come up as opponents in this show, and the past couple of episodes we always discussed the Matter battle. You know, this episode, Harry Baker battle, the Soul episode as well. You know, it's kind of similar to how kind of in each, you know, in the Old English episode and the Most Prob episode, we discussed the Soul battles, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like...
But that's a case of like, that you've got... If this was WWF, you'd have people on that Intercontinental and then that world level. So you'd have the Rock, Austin, Triple H always fighting each other. Then you'd have, you know, your Billy Guns, your Ken Shamrocks, your Val Venuses. And that was what I saw myself and Matter as, was the sort of that undercard, strong, you know, you can book us. We're not going to sell the tickets, but we're going to have the people that have bought tickets leave with a smile.
Well, I mean, Matter does sell the tickets here, though, right? I mean, because like the crowd are rocking with him heavy.
Now he does. But then when we were both
at that event, though.
Yeah. But to get to that event, this is what I'm talking about. When I wanted to battle him, we were both on that level. So that event that I battled YTV at, and I dissed him for not battling me, was because I set it up, and then a week later, Chronicle contacts me and says, "Oh, Matt, I can't do the event." So I set up YTV, who I'd never heard of, and then who did Matter battle at that event?
I can't recall.
Yeah, exactly. So he definitely was at that event battling, but I can't remember who he battled. I think it might have been an Irish lad.
Right.
But do you know what I mean? And it was sort of like the fans would rather see us battle. Why aren't we battling? Why are we battling two people that we don't really sort of, we're not vibing on? So.
Yeah, for sure. And in spite of that crowd reaction, Matt brings some great stuff here. Archaic himself says in the judging, he says that he can't decide if you're not gay or not. And more importantly, he says that, whilst the crowd do, are additional to it, Matt's performance is still really good. Nonetheless, really, really, this is a really, really fun battle. I can't seem to find record. Was it J1 that Matter battled? That's the only one I can seem to find reference of.
That sounds quite possible. Yeah.
Yes, that sounds in that realm. Yeah, but we'll kick on with the battle, which is talks about your name, flips your name. On the rare occasion that he does accept a pamphlet, he rips it up and bins the motherfucker.
Which has been used about 8 times since. I think I've made eye contact with Matter on a few occasions that bar's been used again.
Can you recall any times?
Maybe Frisco used it, and there was definitely one other. There's been at least 2.
Right. You were once known as the best arse for hire in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
Matt coming with those relevant multis. You're the prime example of liberal parenting gone wrong.
Yeah.
Really like that line. Mom's so bone idle, but she did show initiative when it comes to dicks because she took matters into her own hands. Obviously, that clears the room here. Like, how are you thinking when someone's rapping? Are you listening closely? Are you focusing in on yourself? You're like, come on, I'm about to rap now. He's about to end. Or what is it like for you mentally?
It's flips. I mean, that battle was one of many that I've gone into with one round shorter than the others, in the idea that I'm going to get either a flip or an observation or both in. So the thing is, when you're battling someone and they're spitting their bars, you latch onto one thing and you try your hardest to flip that. And then as soon as you've got that done, what you need to do is store it in the back of your head and then try and latch onto something else and work out how you're going to flip that. So in the Blizzard and the Pedro battles, there are a few occasions where I literally 1 flip, 2 flip, 3 flips. And so, but you just completely wiped out. You don't know what they're saying because you're really concentrating on flipping.
Yes.
And then not just flipping, getting your verse in as well, because you can spend a whole 2 minutes that they're spitting, flinking of a flip, spit that flip. What do I do now?
Yeah, I think the apogee of your flip ability is probably the O'Shea battle. Some ridiculously good flips in that battle. I think it's in your 3rd round or 2nd round where there's like 2 or 3 flips at the start that are just really, really strong. And this is a great battle. Matt has been ducking you so hard, as you've been saying. He can now quack through the gap in his teeth. Calling you queer ain't allowed because the gap in the teeth stands for gay and proud. Talk about his hair got sucked up in the air vent. I love that. Just pointing out that clumsy air vent. Yeah, that was the
second verse that needed filling. That was what filled it. Do you know what I mean? So when you go into a room, the first thing you do is scope it out. What's obvious? What can I talk about? Is anyone wearing something ridiculous? Is my opponent wearing something ridiculous? Right. And then you start thinking, well, what can I rap about? And I think any battler that's able to sit there and put pen to paper and write a bar and then remember it, is therefore able to do that without the pen and paper. Because if you're only writing one bar, you should be able to do it in your head, and you should be able to say it when you need to. The worst thing is when you try sit in that. If that air vent bar, if I'd had an air vent bar in the middle of my second, and I started trying to fit that air vent bar to go on to the air vent bar that I'd actually written about, that's when it starts getting complicated. But if it's just an irrelevant bar, you just stick it in the start, and
And
the end.
In terms of freestyle in battle rap, who do you admire?
Tenchu. Mm-hmm. Tenchu, I think, has a effortless. He makes it look effortless. He, but again, you can take and obviously, I think is effortless as well. But I think you can take the best freestyler in the world and put them against the worst freestyler in the world, and they might win on one occasion out of 100.
Why do you say that? What does that mean?
When I sit down and write a bar, when I sit down and write a round for an opponent, you think, what can I say about them? And sometimes the most obvious thing in the world comes to your head. Oh shit, that plus that equals that. Paul Merton on Have I Got News for You? Someone will say a joke, and then 20 minutes later, someone will say another joke, and those two jokes will link, and Paul Merton has it in his head to link those two jokes, bring it back, say the right word or the right line. And you couldn't have built that for him. You couldn't have built that house for him, but he's going to fucking live in it.
Love Paul Merton, man. Fucking hell. That guy's wordplay.
It's quick-wittedness, and it's drawing back. Harry Hill does it as well, drawing back to something you've already said, and being able to use that to create something else. So when you're doing that flip, if they've said the right word combination of words, the right thing for you to then turn that round, and sometimes I'll have 2/3 of it, and then they'll say the right word at the last minute. When I battled YTV, he said I look like Vernon Kay. So I had in my head Vernon Kay test daily, right?
Right.
Then he said at the end of the verse that I was flipping on, he said, you don't like vagina or something. So then, and I was going to say six crazy anyway. So it just opened the door for me to say, I love vagina or whatever, I'm six crazy. And all of a sudden, that's your flip. So he's thrown the ball up in the air and given me the perfect ability to knock it out of the ballpark. So that's what a flip is. So that's what freestyle is. And sometimes the best freestyler in the world just won't have the tools to build that house or to throw that ball. And then sometimes the worst freestyler in the world something will fall in his lap. And with freestyle as well, the best thing that can happen to you, and it pisses me off when people don't take advantage of this, is when something happens in your round. Someone collapses, someone gets kicked out, something like that. Bouncer tries stepping in. That's ammunition. And you should be able to use that.
That's dynamite. That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you can trigger those contextual cues, look at Chiller versus Daylight when he mentions Method Man. Chris Lees and Yunnan versus Cystic and Bam, I think. A phone goes off. Chris Lees makes reference to the phone or something like that. Psychosis flips on Queen's Flip in the Gin Battle of World Dom. I'm sure Minnesota Lucas compiled loads of that shit, but I love that shit. Just quickly on Paul Merton as well. I was watching old Have I Got News for You recently, and he just had this great one-liner. He's talking about sort of the similarities between Tony Blair and Scrabble. They both found WMD in Iraq.
See, again with that, you know what? Again, I'm bringing that back to that test daily sex crazy thing. Yeah, I had the punchline was I shag Keira Knightley in test daily, so nightly in daily. So I'm always shagging someone. That was the sort of punchline. I had that already stored away. It was either a rap line or a joke or something like that. That I'd noticed. I'd noticed that their surnames are Knightley and Daily. So then, when the opportunity comes, you bring it back. You pull it out of your little bag of tricks. So he probably had that in his bag of tricks, but someone set it up for him, and he was able to deliver.
Well, we'll leap back into Matter, and I really like Matter's second round. Basically, kind of talks to you about being a G.I. Joe raised in Malibu Barbie's beach house. Action Pam, the greatest weirdo of them all. Look, kids, Action Pam comes with its own dress and bra, and if you push down on its arm, it spits a lot of stupid, irrelevant bars. And then warning kids may contain homosexual parts, which he couldn't resist. Be too disturbing for even Theo's toy collection. Shout out Psychosis. You shout out Psychosis as well. At the start of your second, nice flip here. Prison Planet is your flip, as you were saying. Yep. You need that little kind of bait there. And
someone inboxed me. I can't remember who it was. It might have been a fan. It might have been another battler, and said, "Have you noticed Matt looks like Timmy Mallet?" And this was after I had my stuff written. So again, with the stuff happening or stuff that you had there already, just presenting itself to you. If he'd not said Prison Planet or Theo, sorry, that I wouldn't have said that. So,
and the when you say that line, it's one of the biggest reactions you get in the battle. It hits really hard. Matt kind of rebuttals it quite well, but the bar still stands. Like, how does that feel when a bar hits and the crowd go mad?
Oh, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. The Y2 TV battle is one of my favourite because, I mean, when I don't do it anymore, but when you're watching your stuff back, the stuff that you put on YouTube and you spent time doing and the fans appreciate it, and I watch it back and I don't watch me or my opponent, I watch the fans and I watch their reactions, and it's so hard to get over that, you know, you're making this room full of people proper chuckle.
Oh, for you especially.
Yeah.
There's some huge moments that you know, I can't wait to get into. But yeah, I mean, overall, let's say you got 70 odd battles on YouTube. That's, you know, over maybe 10 hours, 12 hours of content on there. Like, do you ever go back and watch that content, or is it just there for other people to enjoy?
I used to. But when I battled Blizzard and I finished with, I'm one of the most prolific lyricists in the UK, 2-day true say, that was true. I don't think many other people were writing and recording as much as I was at that point in time. So I was showing off there, but you know, I did that.
I completely agree, man. The work rate was outstanding, really. I mean, almost baffling. If a historian was to pick through, like, when the battles were uploaded, but how did he, like, you know, I mean, you talk about being inspired and being moved. Yeah, is that the problem then? So you're not as regular?
That's my problem today, is not... every time I did a battle, I put 110% in. I spent every waking moment thinking about that battle, prepping for it, practicing for it. You know, working out what context I was going to say stuff in, and now I can't do that. So I turned down 100 battles, but it's the 2 battles that I accept because pressure or whatever, people want me to do it, and I do want to dip my toe in every now and again, but I haven't got the time anymore. I get in from work and I just want to chill out, you know, just chill out with my girlfriend and play PlayStation and just be a normal person.
Yeah, no, so I feel that, and there's no obligation for you to return. It's kind of nice that you're still almost like doing, I don't want to use the term that Ogmios used for O'Shea, testimonials, but you know what I mean? Like,
it is. No, it is. It's what Rolling Stones, you know, they tour every 3-4 years or whatever. It's just to let people see me and to carry on the buzz, because it is a buzz. But
and like, you know, we're going to get onto the Harry Baker battle as a final battle, but awesome battle. Like, you know, being honest, it's not like I'm watching it cringe and thinking, oh, Pamphlet's lost it. It's like, no, you're still killing it. Like,
but I didn't get much sleep that month. Let's put it that way. You know, I'd get in from work and stay up till 2-3 a.m. writing, practicing, and then go to bed for 6 hours and then go back to work the next day. So,
well, you got a battle out of it. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. So, do you know what? Other people go and do other things and spend a lot more time than that and don't have what I've got to show from it. So I do feel blessed, definitely.
Yeah, that's completely true, man. It's definitely unique and awesome back catalogue that you've got. And just to close out the Matter battle, it wouldn't be Old School Don't Flop if we don't have prizes at the end. Sponsors. I wonder what they got out of these videos. I always wondered that. I'm like, who paid for this? And like, how much actual eyes got on their product and who bought what? Like, I'm sure some did in some way, but the fact that Don't Flop don't do it anymore perhaps suggests that it wasn't the best cost-effective model. But nonetheless, we have Matter is the one getting drunk and looking fresh. He wins the battle. He gets the shirt. He gets the rum. You get a lot of love at the end. You know, you're happy to battle people in their own ends, as they say as well. You didn't mind going over to Leeds. Can
I just say one thing quickly? That Action Pam line, I said to Matter at some point in the last few years, I said, Luna wrote that bar for you, didn't he? And he didn't respond to it. So I'm taking that he did. But I don't want to throw any mud on Matter because he's dope as fuck. But I said Luna wrote that bar, and Matt didn't respond. So take that for what it's worth. But no, I love. Do you know what? I love going to other people's back gardens and taking the piss out of them. Glasgow was great when I battled Weedy, taking the piss out of them.
He was Soul's tryout.
Yeah, and I went there. You know, you sit on a bus for ages. You go, you take the piss out of the people that live there, and then you go home again. And some of my favourite comedians haven't been afraid to do that. You know, Bottom, when they went on tour, they'd take the piss out of the locals. And you get a reaction. And then once, do you know what? Once the crowd is reacting, you've got them. And then you can start playing with them. But if you haven't got them, you haven't got them. So whether they're booing or they're cheering, they're doing something. They're not bored.
And the rest of your year after Matter is equally busy on the upload schedule. This includes teaming up with Pedro. Against Fury and Sirius, battling Frisco, teaming up again with Pedro, and battling. I mean, you know, you've had a few partnerships in doubles. Who's your favourite partner you've had?
The Pedro battle was because I turned up there. I was supposed to be battling Redza at that event. He couldn't make it. He got the ferry halfway and then was unable to get the rest of the way or something. So, and then Pedro's partner didn't turn up. That was one of my best battles, by the way, I think. Just because, again, with the whole watching the crowd and seeing them react, and it's not just stuff that I've spent time writing. I come up with some of that seconds before I said it, and the crowd genuinely relaxed, and I genuinely react when I watch it as well. I think that was funny, you know.
And I have to check that one out. Actually, that's one in the Pamphlet back. I mean, there's so many great battles to go through here. Like another being against Sharon.
See, Sharon was. The thing is and the other Pedro one I did as well was against the Evilla and
High Def.
And again, I had an hour or two to get ready for that. Sharon was a freestyle battle event. I turned up drunk already. I don't like drinking before a battle event. I like smoking weed. But weed's obviously illegal and you can't just do it freely. But it keeps my mind sharper and more on point than alcohol does. Alcohol sort of numbs my senses. But when you're nervous and you just want to keep topping up your naughty meter, then alcohol is probably the safest way of doing it. So I'd had a few drinks. I wasn't in the zone. I'd clung to 3 or 4 punchlines. And then Sharon came out after doing a freestyle tournament. I don't know if he won it or if he came second or whatever, and just murdered me with 3 rounds. Just murdered me with 3 rounds.
He's freestyling off the signs and shit.
But I think a lot of his stuff he was pre-thought of, But obviously, what he's good at, right? As I said, when I'm listening to an opponent's round, I take a flip, I store it in the back of my head. It's like a little filing cabinet, and then you get that next thing, and if you can file that next to it so that you can just pull it out when you need it, and then come up with another one, and so you've got 5 or 6 files you can just flick through, you can pull them out. That's ideally what you're going for. Now, sometimes I'm able to perform half of that. Most of the time I'm not. Sharon seems to be able to do that 4 times out of 5. Just go into that little archive of wordplay and sort of stuff like that. I mean, so you can tell when someone's doing it and it's not genuine because sometimes they're old jokes, but you can still tell an old joke in a rap battle and get a reaction. So I've got no qualms with it. I do it as well. But sometimes you think, oh, that wasn't really a flip, was it, mate? But Sharon's one of the best. I've got no qualms in losing a freestyle battle to one of the best. I just wish I'd put on a slightly better performance and had been less drunk.
And we're kind of going through these battles quite quickly before we jump onto our next battle, just because there's so many good battles here, and obviously we don't have tens of hours to pour through. One of which that I just want to draw people's attention to is the ZT battle, which I think is a fantastic performance of yours. Really good. You clown this guy. Like, I don't like ZT. I don't think he was. This was his final battle. This is March 13th, 2012. So he was kind of an also round of the early don't flop. But you seem so confident in front of that crowd. Yeah,
I mean, it was the second Leeds event. What I said earlier about going to someone's hometown, I went to Leeds and got a good reaction and got a lot of fan support. Same with Glasgow, really. I was standing in a dance floor with Soul and having people come up to me and completely ignore Soul and say, wow. And there was one point Soul looked at me like, oh, you're quite big down here type thing. So to go, it's a it is a confidence builder. If you know the crowd like you, and the crowd was massive that day. It was the first big event we'd done. The crowd was queuing around the door. There was snow. Me and my mate arrived early. I was walking down the queue, finding sort of the prettiest girl to braid my hair. Do you know what I mean? And I was sort of on my knees while she was braiding my hair. So,
yes.
And you walk in there thinking, I've got a good core of fans here. And that boosts you.
Yeah, and do you get people at events now? I mean, you must do, coming up saying hi.
Not as much as I did in my prime.
Mm-hmm.
My prime, I had people. There was a mother and daughter that they couldn't get in because the daughter wasn't old enough to get in the venue, and they came up to me outside the event and said, "We just wanted to meet you. We couldn't get in, but we just wanted to meet you." That's weird, man.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Weird. You know,
doing a podcast is one thing, but actually going beyond that is another. We get on to the next big battle. This is against O'Shea.
You were part of a group of people that had the vision and drive to make sure the scene not only lived and survived, but slowly got bigger and thrived. Then the genuine competition arrived. You couldn't contend with them, so you withered and died. People didn't pay to get a train 1,000,000 miles to see a pig in the sty spilling a pipe, bitch. Get with the times.
This is, of course, when O'Shea returns. This is O'Shea's follow-up battle after the Censor battle. If you want to hear a long-form breakdown of the Censor battle of O'Shea, where O'Shea himself concedes in the podcast, as he's conceded many times, and in this battle indeed as well, that maybe he wasn't the most worthy of champions, and maybe Censor won. I mean, just before we jump into this battle, you attack O'Shea's champion stature here. It is a battle, it is pantomime, but, I mean, were you one of the ones? I'm with you if you do think that. O'Shea is as well, that Censor should have been first Don't Flop champion?
I think first thing, worthy. There's no one more worthy than O'Shea. I think O'Shea's the flag waver for British battle rap. He's the man. Whether he performs at that level every time, Manchester United are the biggest team in England, but doesn't mean they're the best at the moment or over the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. But it's what they've contributed, and I think O'Shea deserved that belt. I was there when the judges made their decision. Behind Liam, just sort of out of my own curiosity, watching what the judges had said, and I did think Censor won on the day, but it doesn't tear me up. Basically, it doesn't. I'm not bothered. I don't think Censor's bothered. I think it was just you might as well have just given it to O'Shea. Do you know what I mean? You might as well have just said, O'Shea, you're our champion. Who do you want to defend against first? Because I don't think anyone would have beaten O'Shea, not just on the day's performance, but on his reputation as an ambassador for British battle rap.
I utterly agree, and one of the reasons that this battle stands as important to me, or definitely in my memory stronger than others, is this is my first Don't Flop event. I went with two friends. I was a fan for, I don't know, a couple of months maybe at this point. And I remember getting there. I hadn't been to Manchester before. I have lived in Manchester since, and now I'm aware of where it was. It was on the kind of Northern Quarterway, the Night and Day Cafe. Most people know it on that main sort of strip thing. And I remember getting there, a few friends, long queue outside, seeing Mickey Worthless, seeing Kruger, seeing these people that I hadn't seen before, being, it's lame to say, but starstruck in a weird way. Probably even more so than if I saw an actor, because these are people that at the time, especially, I was like, oh, battle rap's just the greatest thing ever. Like, I can't believe these people do it. This is real. Oh my God. I remember distinctly there was a tryout that never came out. And afterwards, this is the first battle that I saw, and counts 3, 2, 1, and the camera comes. Bagnall counts 3, 2, 1. You know what I mean? Camera comes on, all that sort of stuff. And it was everyone was kind of holding their breath. It was that kind of you look at the crowd. The crowd's huge.
It is. Yeah.
This is when, and I mean, no real shade to Don't Flop, but when Don't Flop returns to venues years later, such as O'Shea Censor, for example, that same venue is used in Birthday 6.5 for Tony D. Yunnan. Same stage. Yeah. The venue feels half full. It's sad to see, and that is just the way. And you can't help these things, and they still do well for the birthday events, and they're still doing well. I really hope they're doing well forever. You know what I mean? But you can notice that, and this event was crammed. And I remember even the tryout battle, I was kind of struggling to get a view. People just loved battling back then, and the battle got wiped. I remember afterwards, because they choked badly, both of them, and one of them said in their battle, "Oh, we just got this battle demoed" or something like that, and it was like, "Oh, you didn't even get that."
I remember that.
Yeah, and there was one line. There was only one line that I remember where it's like, your family's fucked up, you fingered your sister and came out wearing your dad's wedding ring, which is kind of a sort of, play on many common sort of lines there. Wasn't that good? And then I'm trying to think what other battles were there. Briggsy versus Nash was there, which is as kind of mare as it sounds. I think Briggsy had quite a good bar though, who's like, you're as subtle as a train crash on a boat. Right. Which is very un-Briggsy like, which makes me question whether that was actually him. I don't know, but in my memory it suggests it's him.
The thing is, when you're writing, when we said earlier about when your opponent's spitting, when you're gonna battle, you spend the whole evening outside because you're practicing. If I was to stand inside watching my peers and my friends battle, I wouldn't. You'd go into your battle completely unprepared. You need that last hour, that last 2 hours practicing 20 times, spitting your bars for your mates, Balski, Mickey. These are the guys I'd stand outside with while other battles were going on and spit to.
You've got to, haven't you? You're out your zone otherwise. If you're watching I remember Verb Team Matter happens, good battle, but you can't, I do wonder when you see that, you see people waiting in the eaves and they battle after, and it's like, how do they just... I don't know, as we're getting down to the last 5 minutes now, are you still rehearsing the second you step on the stage? Like, what is the kind of movement in that last hour?
Yeah, totally. So I like to have a joint just before I go on and a practice. And if I'm there's usually blocks of two. So if I'm the second person on in that block, I'll get in for halfway through the battle that's just come on, the first battle. So you just want to walk in there. You want to be practiced. You want to be ready. You have to spend that last few minutes, because I didn't in my first battle in Scotland against Silvertongue. I didn't do that, and Chronicle told me you have to do it all the time, and I didn't do that, and I choked. So since then, the last hour before I battle is 4, 5, 6 times of just running through everything.
And this is such a polished performance, huge battle. As we say, this is O'Shea's first battle as champion. This is 4 months since the Leeds event happened against Censor. 121,000 views, big battle. A lot of views on this one. You get called one of the most dedicated battlers in the league. You get a huge reaction. You're in such a vein of form at this point. This is 92nd rounds. Vintage O'Shea rocking the Dick Limerick shirt. And coming up,
the best O'Shea I've seen. That's the best O'Shea I had seen in years. I think.
This was the perfect time for us to do this episode, because literally last week I did the O'Shea episode, and I've been watching a ton of his battle, familiarising himself with his whole career. And there does definitely. There's a moment in O'Shea's career where he seems to say, I don't care anymore. I know he always was that, and I understand that was kind of always his point, that he was kind of this ramshack thing, but I think here, the Tony battle, kind of this 2013, I think post Uno Lavos maybe, even ironically, as he got more and more popular.
I think, guys, his battle against sort of Nestle and stuff like that, he wasn't coming proper. No. But the thing is, it's what I said about you need to put all your time and effort into it. Like, I've got a battle next week, and I'm really not as ready as I'd like to be. But it's kind of, and I said to my girlfriend, I said, O'Shea, this is the sort of thing O'Shea does all the time. He just rocks up unprepared. He gets through on personality alone and a few bars. I can't do that. I've never felt like I can do that. I'm not O'Shea in that respect. I need to come in fully prepared.
If someone wanted to watch your most underprepared battle, what is that online?
I'd say written was Weedy or Silvertongue in Scotland, unfortunately, 2 Scottish performances. Other than that, it's a routine of 3 weeks. First week, the first verse written and remembered. Second week, second verse written and remembered. Third week, third verse written and remembered.
So it lends the first 2 verses being better remembered than the third, or?
Well, no, because the first verse you write isn't going to necessarily be your best.
Right.
With the O'Shea battle, with the Blizzard battle, and with a few others that I've done since, the third verse has been a poignant verse. So it's been the last one I've written, because I've almost planted seeds in my head of what I'm going to write about. And then you sit down and write, I know that I'm going to go here, there, here, there, here, there. It's not just punchline, punchline, punchline. It's building up, building up, building up. So what I said in the third, I knew O'Shea had asked me if there's anything I didn't want to talk about. I didn't want him to talk about. And so I had the feeling that he was going to go talk about my dad. So, and with the whole Censor thing, like, I was mates with Censor specifically at the time, and I do genuinely believe that if you take the piss out of someone's family, we're not gonna, as battle rappers, we're not gonna get angry or have a fight, we're just going to stop battle rapping, because I don't want to hear negative things said about my family, and I don't think anyone else does, especially not Censor with a newborn baby. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So the point I was trying to make was, we're free to say what we want, but if you start dissing people's families, or we start dissing people's families, then there's not going to be top level talent left to diss. And I mean, that's happened in a way. I'm not saying it's O'Shea's fault, but it's definitely not O'Shea's fault. But I don't think the gains of having your family genuinely dissed, and not just in a your mum's this, your mum's that. Mm-hmm. She looks like she smells like that. In a genuine, my mum lost her husband, you know what I mean, at a young age, and we had to sort of survive on, next to nothing. We didn't get any compensation for it or anything. It's been a struggle, and I don't want that highlighted. I don't want my mum to watch a battle where people talk about that fact. Do you know what I mean? So. Mm-hmm. So that was what that third verse was about. Was about we need to respect each other and just take the piss out of my mum, because my mum's fine. Do you know what I mean? Just she's not dead. She's not dying. Just.
No, I know what you mean.
She smells like poo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The line is. I was going to say the line is difficult to draw. It's not really difficult to draw, and. It often can be harsh, especially O'Shea does go a little hard. Well, no, he does go very harsh in this battle. And I can't imagine, it must be hard not to take personal. And when I started off battling, I saw it very much as kind of like an innocent thing. And obviously it is, and it is pantomime. You can sort of almost say what you want. But there are lines to be crossed. Like, I was watching an Unbiased Review recently, and he was highlighting this battle in a lower American league where the opponent brings out a picture of the guy's daughter, who's like 5 or 6 years old, and he like spits on it and rips it up in the battle. I'm like, this isn't battling. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's just pen to paper. This is imagination. This is theatrics, and
it's what something becomes, though, isn't it? Then I compare it to wrestling, and some
like many promos, things in your life.
No, but I think wrestling and battle rap, they do go hand in hand. I really do. Sure. But some of the wrestling promos, if you watch them from the 70s and 80s, they were talking about sort of families and that. And if anything, that's calmed down. That's, they've got a lot more sort of respectful and things like that. But if you watch like old Jerry Lawler promos and stuff like that, there's no holds barred, really. They're just trying to get the crowd to boo them. And I think that's fair enough if you're presenting yourself as a bad guy. But battle rappers don't really present themselves as bad guys.
Not many heels.
Well, they shouldn't be, because you're a real person. You know what I mean? I'd say Censor was the biggest heel.
He was, actually. He was, for sure.
He was a heel.
Psychosis. Yeah.
He was a heel, yeah. So you've got guys
Chronicle?
that are unanimous. Chronicle, unanimous is a heel. It's a big heel, But do they last? Has Chronicle last? Has Censor last? Has Yunnan last? Has Chronicle last? Who has anyone lasted?
No.
Because you're not a character. You're not a character at the end of the day. People talk about Pamphlet as being a character, but I'm still a person, And the wrestlers were paid to portray that character, and the financial benefit was worth it for them. Whereas for me to be Pamphlet all the time just to appease fans wouldn't make any sense. And same with these heel personas of these battle rappers. They're not that person in real life, and for them to portray it would basically ruin their life for the sake of what? For fans to think you're an asshole, which
No, totally. But I mean, with all this talk of disrespect, O'Shea obviously talks very disrespectful, but he says at the start that this is retribution for you, for saying that you'd Ricky Hatton Lily Allen's dead baby.
Yeah.
When did you say that?
At that battle that I was talking about in Australia against that little kid, I'd realised that Ricky Hatton and Lily Allen were multisyllabics. I'm going to hopefully be a part of this headhunter thing, but multisyllabics, just a quick rundown, work by you have to have ABC rhyme. But if A and B don't quite rhyme, then you can throw a C in there. Anyway, to cut a long story short, Lily Allen and Ricky Hatton aren't perfect rhyming couplets, but the way I presented them was so they were in the middle of the rhyme, and therefore it did sound so it was a bar, basically. It was a bar.
Yeah.
But O'Shea's idea was, you draw lines on your own life. Why are you allowed to talk about people's dead babies? And that's fair enough. But what I will say again is that Lily Allen gets paid a hell of a lot of money to be in the public eye. And she, at the end of the day, she can shut a newspaper, she can turn off YouTube where I'm saying mean things, and she can bask in her large wealth, whereas I can't do that.
Yeah.
So if you want to take the piss out of me, you just understand that all I've got to do about it is cry vocally.
Mm-hmm. With a chin like that, your mother must have got raped by Hellboy.
Yeah, he said that already.
But yeah, on another league, but he said it didn't matter.
Yeah. I wish I'd said I had a bar for him that I loved. I can't remember what it is now, but I wish I'd repeated it and said the same thing. Both select to face. You have just over 7 mates. Yeah.
You remind people of Haley from Coronation Street again with these soap bars. Need to make a compilation of that on the Battle Rap Resume YouTube channel. Please subscribe there, by the way. You do a contextual flip. You do the Daylight Chiller Method Man thing that we spoke about being so intoxicating. You talk about his mum going quicker than that girl, and then you point someone off stage. What happened?
She fell off the stage. I think she must have taken a step back on the edge of the stage and just fallen off it.
Oh. And that happened publicly, or?
That happened just minutes, like 30 seconds before the battle, literally, as we were getting ready. So I think I said one thing about it, and then I tried doing a follow-up flip, and it didn't work as well.
No, it wasn't bad. Yeah, the follow-up flip being like the mom's vagina had fell into it, or something like that. The mom had fell into it. Like something garbled. Something. I
mean, you can be confident about what you're saying, but you could be overconfident as well. Just think anything you're going to say is just going to come out perfect. It doesn't always work like that. And
the lion's share of the first is wrestling bars. Pam, how much of a wrestling fan are you? Are you like a mega fan, or?
Yeah, big fan. Yeah, went to WrestleMania this year.
Oh, what? That's so cool, man.
Yeah, went to WrestleMania. Just a big fan, really. All the podcasts I listen to are wrestling based.
What do you listen to? I'm sure people might want to know, what does Pamphlet listen to?
So it's the Don Tony and Kevin Castle show.
Right, these I don't know, but please reel them off.
Don Tony, Kevin Castle. Don Tony's a nutter, yeah? Right. He's about 40 years old. He just goes off on one, right? He's a little bit racist, he's a little bit sexist.
Welcome to Battle Rap.
Yeah. Well, he's an Italian New Yorker, but he's always talking about sort of Polish people and all that, just generalising.
And wrestling podcast, that's a big thing, that's a big market.
Yeah, but the comedy is you've got Kevin Castle, who's just a very down-to-earth normal guy, and it's his reaction to this guy's just over the top, right, just ridiculousness. That's where the comedy is. You've got Wrestling Soup, which I check out, Wrestling Soup. Then you've got the Solomonster, SOLOMONSTER. Solomonster, very informative, just a good podcast. Then you've got the ones that chronicle the week-to-week battle events of the era.
So my heart's racing. I thought you mentioned Chronicle then. I was just like, what?
No. So you've got OSW Review, which is like a video podcast, which does all the Hogan stuff. I actually called them out in one of my battles, the Calcium Kid battle. And they put me as the intro to one of their videos.
No, that's so good.
Big mark out moment for me, yeah. So, and then you've got the New Generation podcast, and then you've got the Attitude Era podcast, which just cover the eras.
Dope, man. Thank you for sharing that. That's really, I mean, I'm always just interested in what people are passionate about, and I'm just like, wrestling is something quite new to me. Like I mentioned to you off air, like I watch a lot of What Culture YouTube compilations. I'm very new to it, but like I do totally see it, and like I understand why and I do really like it. You know what I mean? It's a very, very interesting thing, but I'm not going to pretend I understand 90% of your bars in this battle. In terms of wrestling, but they're still very good. Please reference Mick Foley. That won't go over my head. I'm that sort of guy.
I'll try to do that. Yeah, I've got a wrestling bars battle coming up that should be released by the time this comes out. Versus O'Shea.
Yeah. Please, that's going to be great. That's going to be really good. A rematch of sorts of this battle.
Well, this will be our 5th or 6th battle, I think. To be honest. We've done loads of 2-on-2s and that.
Tied together, man. Tied together at the flip, and nice flip of your shirt as well. Talk about obviously the Dick Limerick Academy is a microphone with wings. Your designer is shy because I'm the guy who's flying the mic. Really, really nice. O'Shea calls out your love of wrestling.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Shit. Oh well.
What, you like that or?
No, I just didn't. I couldn't remember it.
Oh man, I mean, you've got fucking so many bars. O'Shea, he likes wrestling too, but he's not gay enough to dedicate half a round to it. Lots of you look like Jodie Marsh and she started bodybuilding. You look like Louis Theroux hitting the gym 365 times a week. Yeah. He goes in on St Albans, which is place close to my heart. I got some family in Hemel Hempstead, so big up St Albans. Hits you with a lot of posh bars, but really, kind of that stuff works against Marlowe. I don't think that works against you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from a posh area, but I'm not a posh person.
No, I don't mean that in a sly way. I just mean it's just kind of like, oh, Shay, come on, you're facing Pamphlet. There's a lot to say here, and you're the good person to say it, but you don't seem to get the ideas out here in the second. You look like you're on a film called Attack of the Barber. And O'Shea impersonates you, nothing wrong with a little impersonation there. O'Shea doesn't do it that often. It's
many people haven't done impersonations of me. Do you know what I hate when I'm battling someone? Is when they go, oh, this is you. I think I've never sounded like that.
It's almost like they're trying to make you look stupid. I
think they think multisyllabics are easy, and so they start going. I mean, not no O'Shea, but sort of some of the poor about people I've battled against. They think that's multisyllabics. Do you know what I mean? That's not multisyllabics. And they'll sometimes they'll give examples that they're not even multisyllabics. It's like confusing.
And these flips, we teased this earlier, the round opener where he did 3 great flips. This is the round. You're second against O'Shea. So you start off by saying he's way boring. Best thing about St Albans is that it ain't northern. Gets a good reaction. Fuck Jodie Marsh, your head looks like one of her tits. So they can't write, you're from Liverpool, neither can you. Like, all 3 of these just, wow, they just, that ability that's really impressive to do that.
That's what I mean about storing them, do you know what I mean? Because I think even... I can't remember it. Maybe I turned to Pedro, who was behind me, and said, "Remember this word for me." And then I think he couldn't remember it either, because I think I had a 4th one. But if you need to get that flip, store it, and have it there ready. And I think Pedro said a lot of times actually when he comes to his verse, "I would have flipped that, but I can't remember what you said or whatever." Because it's hard to remember. So. If I go in there and I'm on, then I'm on. Do you know what I mean? If I can do it, then that's great. That's what I mean about the best freestyler in the world versus the worst freestyler in the world thing. If you can do it, but if you can't do it, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. You need to perform there and then on that stage.
You inform him that looking at his sneaks, those look like Penelope Cruz's relative shoes. Dipped in some nasty ass vegetable soup. Shout out Cannabis. I mean, that was a big event that rocked the world, right? Battling terms.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that was just Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Penelope Cruz. Do you know what I mean? So and then vegetable soup and relative shit. So it just was a
it's good. And you look like you're such a sex pest. You got a Fred West bedspread. Good line.
Good one. I've had Sex Pest and Fred West sort of in back of my head for ages. I was going to have like a pen set as well. You had a pen set or whatever, but
nice.
I didn't have that.
You say you're going to get Pedro to John Lennon his nan.
Right, yeah. I'm annoyed you missed out the what was it? The Craig Charles bit. That was great.
Oh, him sounding like Craig Charles.
Yeah,
an accent humour.
It's just been done for rape. So
I wasn't aware of the.
No, it's just been done for rape. So you had all of your face masked. If you thought you were Craig Charles, it's just that multi. I enjoyed that multi.
O'Shea in the third, quoting that Yunin said that he wasn't a worthy champion. He's probably right. He concedes. He talks of you in the gym doing pull-ups with your chin. Doesn't really say much in your third, especially you kind of have that candle against the sun kind of moment here with your third being absolutely brilliant. Introducing O'Shea as part of people that were getting the scene together, had the vision and drive to improve it, and then the idea of genuine competition arriving and O'Shea kind of having his best birds against birds, kids or people's dead fathers. This is you're pretty much your very own URL. Third round, real shit kind of round. Hopeless motherfucker is a champ we don't want, and the only person that suffers are the fans that don't flop. You're pouncing on him here, and convincingly so. I understand you live a different life now, but to see you in any sort of contention for the title back then or even now would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not there now. Do you know what I mean? It's like roller skating up a hill. Unless you keep that forward momentum going, you just end up falling backwards.
Yep.
And there's people a lot more hungry than me, and I think that's the opinion of a lot of the guys that have stopped doing it. Is unless you're going to do it, you know, you can't really sort of dip your toe in it every now and again because the crowd moves on. So they have for me anyway. I think there's guys like sort of Wizard who come back once every 2 years and smash it, and I think they'll always be up there. But I think with me, I tried so hard. And unless I do that, I don't think I had as much natural ability as some of the other guys, but I think I just tried so hard.
I think you remembered very fondly, man.
I think I am, but I think it wasn't natural. It wasn't like I couldn't just, like O'Shea. I mean, O'Shea's a perfect example of natural. I couldn't just turn up. I had to do a lot of work. It was a lot of practicing, a lot of remembering. I worked really hard, man. Really hard.
No, I think you can tell. Not in a bad way either, but like, you know, there's just a lot of effort gone in, a lot of incredibly creative writing going throughout it. And our next battle is a bit more of a unique battle. This is you versus Bleak in a football bars only battle.
Yep.
One of the most generic backdrops in the history of battling. If you were to ask someone to, like, an adult, say, like you're like a 40-year-old, 50-year-old, like, where are battles held? They would have picked somewhere like this, an abandoned alleyway with graffiti on the back. You know, how did this battle come about? Because obviously we just came back, like just now at Maple Falls was a battle with O'Shea, Quill and Archaic doing football bars, but this is obviously the first iteration. Football bars, any football fans, there are millions of surnames and motifs and memes that you can use. It's brilliant for that, especially if you're a big fan like yourself. But I mean, how did this kind of, you know, emerge?
Your mum's a hound, her wet pants are West Ham, always going up and down. I shagged her saggy wet twat, then Harry Redknapp, I leave a hot spurt on the horse face, and George Graham, I give her Arsenal a fiddle.
So I just knew that, but writing football bars, as you said, there was a lot of inspiration to draw from. I just had in that O'Shea battle about what was it? Who was it? Van Persie in a Barca top or something. I can't remember. Right. But it did. I always had football bars in because I love football. I know a lot about it. I know a lot about the players. I collected the stickers. O'Shea does it as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it would have been great to have done it against O'Shea. No offence to Bleak. But I think to have done it against O'Shea would have been great. And that's why I've had this wrestling bars battle now for a while, and I've held it because I want to do it against the right person on the right day. Do you know what I mean? Because it makes all the difference. It really does. And again, no offence to Bleak, he come good. But just, you know, just that sort of more stage presence and stuff like that, and I think confidence as well.
And why was this in an alleyway?
Because it was just a tryout event. It was in a park. That's what it was supposed to be. It was it was the first ever Rapping It Park. Wow. The first ever Rapping It Park, and it was pouring with rain. It was just pouring with rain, so we did it under sort of a car park thing. Right. And I think it just started to lighten up, so we went outside.
In the start of the battle, I introduces you as a vet, rightly so, and you congratulate your future self for keeping the diet up.
Yeah, I've never had an intro planned.
No slogan either?
No slogans, no. I mean, I like putting myself on the spot. I never plan anything. One of my favourite things is the street charity people is when they approach me, finding what words it is I can say to them to confuse them or confuse me. If I've confused me, then I think we're both winning. Yeah. But so I just was on the spot. I mean, I put loads of weight again on now, but I was really trying to lose weight at the time. So it was just being funny.
Yeah, I mean? Yeah, no, I like it.
Spontaneous.
I like it, and it plays to that kind of weird kind of sense of almost, you know, the time passing, like how battles, you can click on one battle and go 7 years in the future or go back to the VHS days, and, you know, it's just playing with the weird sense of time, isn't it? It's just this video that we're about to discuss captures just one moment where you and Bleak happen to shout football insults each other. It was captured on camera, and you know, when
you're sitting there watching them when they come out, it is, as you say, it's a time pod. It's something that you recorded 3 to 6 months ago, and now you're watching it back. And so if you can sort of throw those little things in for your own personal amusement, why not?
Bleak is a newcomer. He co-signs what you say. Says that he's only get 5% of the bars, kind of like me with the wrestling, and you know, kicks off with Bleak. Bleak, who kind of has that kind of joke about him, doesn't he, that he was quite bad, or that kind of comes up, and that's kind of an established trope now. But he's not bad here. Calls you a paedophile muscle-bound version of Pirlo. Richer or poorer, Man City versus Bury, and I'm 4 up. Tottenham, he's ripping this White's heart out, talks with the French players, kissing the cock on the top of the ball. It's not bad stuff, but like I had seen this battle before, when it came out, before I started making the notes for it earlier this week, and I always remembered it really fondly. I just recalled you doing really good, and you do really good. Talking about how you'll pull skulls from this guy's shoulder and eyes.
Yeah, I had that written for a while. Not that line, but it was something like pull skulls and cleverly in the middle, or something like that. It was a Manchester United bar. So
shout out 100 bullets for the good football scheme as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? That's what there are so many football bars you can do, and it's almost like I had to condense them into one as opposed to peppering them, because it would have been too obvious if I just kept every round had two football bars in. It would have been stupid.
Yeah, I don't know if are you aware of Crafty? He's a newcomer.
Yeah, I know Crafty. Yeah, Harry's mate.
Yeah. He's done quite a few bars about football from time to time as well, and they always kind of crop up here and there, like art of passing, like Pirlo or Pirlo pass or something like that. He's got some good stuff there. But
I remember in my Hazard battle trying to come up with lines, and I went to a freestyle event in Bristol to battle. Unanimous was there. It's for like before my Don't Flop debut, and I come up with on the train. I was like, Arsenal rhymes with basketball. And then that's where I got you've got the same chance as the Arsenal team in a basketball league.
Don't need technology to show every time I got the ball to go over the line.
Yeah.
And then your phone rings.
Yeah.
Which just happens, I suppose.
Yeah, my Rihanna tune, yeah.
Gonna have to beat
and then,
it.
Do you know what pissed me off about that? Yeah, was people on the comments saying, "Oh, I hate it when battle rappers get their phones out to check their lines."
Oh.
Like, it was someone called me, do you know what I mean? I wasn't checking my lines. I was like halfway through.
Quite clearly, you don't even look at the phone.
I know.
You turn it off in your pocket, it's fine. Gonna have to beat him cruel like the Dutch goalie. Look like David James made of clay. Yeah. He looks like Emil Heskey's foot.
Yeah,
he looks like Emil Heskey fucked the FA Cup.
Yeah. So Emil Heskey's foot was, there's a guy called Mosh Jelton from Grind Time who did a line. Yeah, the Kobe Bryant's foot line. Which,
okay.
So I was just sort of pastiching that really.
Again, timestamps in the sense that you're talking about Chelsea strikers doing a little double act here, where Lefter Nicholas and did her A. Mm-hmm. Sort of
they literally just both left.
Yeah,
that wasn't fair.
Yeah, and Rapping It Park, you're Rapping It Park G Sung.
Yep,
really nice bar as well. Bleak second is a bad sort of, goal, reminds me of Derby County, no clean sheets around mine. Talks about, don't think I'm the only black guy palming your shots off, you can't call me David James. You talk about in your second, you go really obscure on this, even like a football, like I'm kind of, I like football, I kind of know about football, I'm not kind of that in depth, and most of the references I got, but this one went over my head. The Man United 92 second kit on this prick, and it'll literally disappear.
So, do you know what? What upset me about that was because I don't like cliches. I don't like being a cliche. But Bleak has this habit of saying stuff that's a bit too obscure and then saying, think about it, and pointing to me and said, so I did that. I did that in response to him doing it. And I kind of wish I hadn't, because as far as I'm concerned, if someone doesn't get it, you can't tell them to think about it. You can't say, that made sense, but you didn't get it, which is basically what you're saying there. Mm-hmm. But what it was is United played Southampton. I think it was just coming off of a big loss, a 5-0 loss against Newcastle. And they were wearing their third kit, which was like a grey kit. And they went at half-time, I think it was about 3-1 down. Changed their kit to their third kit, which was a blue and white kit, and ended up losing 6-2 anyway, or something like that.
Wow.
But Alex Ferguson blames the grey away kit, saying that they couldn't see each other.
Okay, so, interesting bit of little trivia there. And his mom's been bought and sold, passed around more than Ben Foster.
Yeah.
You call him Emmanuel Petit. Nice little Arsenal scheme. You lead Dix on to the rape parlour.
Yeah.
Maybe my favourite bar of the battle here quite a subtle one, doesn't really get a reaction because it is, like I say, you know, a little under the radar. He can't afford to get high anymore because the lame guy. Because something like that. Because the lame guy's poor. Even if you're an Italian football manager, you couldn't buy draws.
Yeah.
Referencing kind of the Italian football controversy of the sort of 2000s about kind of rigged games and stuff like that. Yeah. Really nice. Head more oddly deformed than the average Norwich supporter. You know, it's just a really
got a good reaction from I forgot that he was from Norwich.
It's funny, you know. Gaz's belly fat. You got the swag and sexy clash of Gary Neville's tash. Just lots of really good stuff here, and a great reaction. I would urge anyone to check this battle out as well. But we'll push forward. Just before we get onto the Harry Baker, though, I just want to touch on a few of these battles here. One of them that really interested me was the where you played Joker against Definition. Like, how did this one come about?
It was something I remember talking to him about it on stage during Tony D versus Sus at Leeds.
Wow.
We wanted to do a dressy up battle because I think both me and Definition we're sort of quite creative people. This hadn't been done before, really, so it was something we wanted to do. I mean, with the football battle, with the wrestling battle, I'm always trying to experiment with this form of art. Do you know what I mean? It's all very well going and doing the same thing again and again, but I'm looking to push it forward. Not push it forward, but push it in different directions. And I wanted to be Wayne from Wayne's World. Definition was aware of the fact that there was a Batman versus Superman film dropping. Was it Batman versus Superman or Batman versus something? Batman Returns or Begins or Forever or somewhere.
It was the one with Bane, I believe. The Dark Knight Rises.
That's the one, yeah. So we knew that was going to be released. It was going to be a big deal. So he convinced me to be the Joker. And yeah, just as I'd confirmed that one, I'd confirmed Sweden as well. So I had both of them to write for. So it's like, with battling, it's all very well saying I've retired or I don't want to do it or I'm slowing down. All of a sudden, a big opportunity comes knocking and you can't turn it down. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's what you've been working so hard for. So suddenly I had two big battles to write for. But it just comes thick and fast. But yeah, I remember enjoying writing that battle. It was 2 rounds. I had 2 opponents technically because I had Bruce Wayne in the first and Batman in the second. And just when you 1 bar in each round, I'll mention when you write stuff like sort of. I guess I'll just have to battle Bruce Wayne. Then Bruce Wayne. That sounds like 2 gay men.
Yeah.
And then the second, you look like a leather couch with a head and mouth. When I write stuff like that, that's what makes me happy.
Yeah, and the evilist, mentalist of who's the mentalist and all that sort of stuff.
Yes. I had that written for Redza originally.
I
would have said that to him had he turned up to the battle where I did that 2-on-2, but he didn't, and so it was just put into there.
Mm-hmm. And the following,
which made a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think that's a nice bit of serendipity, isn't it? That definitely works better there and got more views that way as well. I think as it stands now, I'm just checking that battle. It's got 450,000 views. I mean, it kind of is clickbaity to the core, but that's not to say that it isn't a good battle. I
trended on YouTube.
Oh.
I trended on YouTube for a while. I was on their main page, yeah.
That's very, very cool. Yeah, no, and what's great is as well, there's no real intro to this battle. It just starts. So a lot of people aren't going to leave, you know what I mean? Don't Flop were clever there. They didn't start with all their sponsors and all whatever. They just kind of, anyone that stumbles upon this is just straight into the battle. And I should say we are going to go into this battle. The reason we're kind of going over it quickly is because I'm going to do it with Definition, who I've got lined up for the podcast in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So check that episode out then. I'm not sure exactly what number that'd be, but not too far away. And a few other things, you seem to battle in a lot of different leagues here as well. Barmageddon, Spit Rose, Wrapped in Wire. You weren't Epic Bars. You weren't holding any affinity to Don't Flop, or?
No, I think, do you know what I was going to say earlier? And I thought of this the other day.
Yeah.
I think one of my biggest gifts was having like my material, and Kruger, but especially because he's on all the camera shots. And when you've got the main guy pissing himself laughing at the stuff you're saying, it's such an advantage.
And how, I mean, speaking of and Don't Flop in general, like obviously there was a break from Don't Flop, which seems to start, if I'm seeing, Evil Eyes was the final battle before the break?
Yeah, Evil Eyes, yeah. So having there, I've never... Er's a funny guy. I'm sure, a lot of battle rappers have spoken about
He has came up regularly.
I'm sure a lot of fans have got their own opinions on him, but the thing is, I've never thought of as the only guy in battle rap. Like, I've never pinned all my hopes on him.
Yeah.
But I am aware of how important he is. Do you know what I mean? So,
of course.
So, but I've never been... I'll be happy as long as I'm performing. So I've never thought, I've got to do Don't Flop. If Don't Flop is risking other things, then I'll just do Don't Flop. But it's been like, who can I work for? Like, I'll do 5 battles for you, but then I'm going to do 1 battle for some guy who's offered me. And the first time I ever got my train fare paid for me was a special day.
Right, yeah.
The first time I ever got my train fare paid, because it wasn't even Megabus, it was train. I got the train from my house to the event. I got drinks bought for me, and then I went home again.
When was that?
That was Barmageddon.
Right.
Skitty, I can't remember his real name now, but Skitty paid for my train down. I battled Baron Mind. I think I battled ZT a week later.
Yeah, this is February 2012, the Baron Mind one, yeah.
Yeah, so Gwame 8 days later. And then, I can't remember, there was about 4 that month, basically.
Gwame, there's another name lost. And then the cover this with
Gwame was supposed to be my first ever battle. When I applied for the Ahab battle, I inboxed Gwame, who was doing Don't Flop Ireland at the time, and asked for a battle, and he responded with, "Well, I don't know who you are or what you're about, so I'm going to have to turn it down." So.
And what happened with you not being on Don't Flop? Was there any moment where you just like, I just don't want to be part of this anymore?
I mean, I'm sure Mickey doesn't mind me saying this.
No. I mean, be honest.
Yeah, me and Mickey have got a funny relationship, but not a funny relationship. We're either sort of best mates or worst enemies, but I think we've been good mates for the last few years. So, right. But there was a point where I think me and Mickey didn't like each other anymore. Boom Bat Festival, I think we were winding each other up the wrong way. I'd lived with him for a week before we went. So I think we were just winding each other up, and I think because Mickey had Er's ear, I think Mickey's admitted it himself. He pulled a few strings, and I wasn't looked favourably upon in Don't Flop. And I think because had allowed that to happen, I think that's what caused my upsetness.
Mm-hmm. And that just led to you not wanting to be part of it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was the first one, and I think, do you know what? When I left, I don't think conditions were that great, and I think since I've come back to Don't Flop, they've given me sort of, they've offered me good things. I haven't asked for anything. They've offered me hotels and trains and good money and stuff like that. So I'm not saying I was the catalyst for change, but I think all of a sudden someone who'd been so keen to do whatever they could to help was now saying, I don't want to do it anymore. Like maybe it shifted things slightly.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear as well, man. That you are getting the respect you deserve, and it's good that you came back into the fold. And the Brucey battle, that was kind of the first emergence back. How did it feel to be back on the stage? Big stage, Don't Flop stage.
I mean, the thing was, right, when I left, there was such this, I mean, we were talking about Chronicle earlier. Yeah. There was such this attitude of, oh, you're going to say no now, but if I ask you again tomorrow, you'll say yes. Yeah. Or, whatever the sort of scenario was, that you'd eventually cave in. And I think after a solid year or two of not doing it, I think it sort of raised my profile a bit. People were more eager to see me come back. And the Brucey battle happened because Carlos didn't show or something.
Oh, yes. Or couldn't make. Yeah. And it leads to Brucey kind of choking, doesn't he?
Yeah, so just literally offered me a good amount of money to write a whole battle in 6 days, or however long it was. Mm-hmm. I was working. I literally went to that battle in Nottingham in the morning. My mate Jack Sexton. I don't know if you've heard of Jack Sexton.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, he gave me a lift down. I got a lift. I did the battle, say 1 o'clock. got out the venue at 1:30 and started work in Newcastle at about 4:00.
Oh.
So I literally went from on stage in front of 200-300 people to cooking in a grimy kitchen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, that was crazy, man. And that, I guess you're such a professional, aren't you, at this level? So this was something you could just do. Did you leave the venue kind of reluctantly, or we just like, right?
I just knew I had to do it. I said to her, I've got to go on first because I didn't have permission to do it. And the manager was like, you can go and do it all you want, but you've got to be in work for this time. And obviously I've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean about battle rappers, not these days, but in general, having to put all their time and effort into it. I'm not encouraging people signing on, but I think if you're doing something creative that's this kind of creative, where you're always performing, you're always on demand, you need to not have other commitments. And, a job, paying my rent was the most important thing.
Of course. And just before we get onto the Harry Maker battle as well, this era saw kind of you flirting with King of the Ronalds. One of those battles being against Bard, which I think is coming out very soon. King of the Ronalds, what are your thoughts on the league?
Oh, I didn't flirt with them. Mickey literally inboxed me about 5,000 times saying, please, please, please do it. And then I think I said no, and about a week before, I think 3 or 4 people pulled out. I'm not saying they did because of their Don't Flop allegiances, but they just did. They just pulled out. And what I said earlier, I'm for battle rap. I'm not here for Don't Flop. I'm not here for Pamphlet.
Yeah,
I'm here for Pamphlet and Don't Flop. Well, this is what I try to tell sort of Don't Flop and that. If the battle rappers are doing well, if they're going to Glasgow, if they're going to Ipswich, if they're going to Wolverhampton and they're performing for fans and making these fans leave with positive views of battle rap, then they're going to get online, they're going to click, they're going to search for these guys' battles and they're going to become fans and they're going to start buying merchandise and coming to shows. It's like the wrestlers back in the day especially, they went all over the country. They got fans, they got their fan bases up, and then when they'd hit WWF, they'd have the experience and the fan base to become big stars. So what was the question, sorry?
No, it's all right, man. Just more about, I guess, King of the Ronalds and the emergence of I'm not going to say a genuine kind of threat to Don't Flop, but certainly they've done better than they have any right to.
Well, I think everyone that's battled against Don't Flop has done better than they have every right to. I think Don't Flop did better than they have every right to. I don't think what I always think, right, when a promoter offers me a load of money, I always think, where's this money coming from? Because it needs to come from somewhere. Do you know what I mean? It needs to come from somewhere. I want to sell tickets, but if I'm going to Glasgow, they need to make sure that they've sold the tickets. You know what I mean? It needs to be business. It needs to be a profitable business. And if they can't afford me, because I do have a price, because this stage of my life, I've got more important things to think. Yeah, so I've got a price basically, right? But what needs to happen is if they can't afford me, they need to be able to afford Matey Boy McMatey, who's only done 6 months worth of battling. Matey Boy McMatey needs to be prepared to go to Glasgow to rise his profile, and in return needs to put on a good performance so that when he does eventually get to the stage where he can ask for sort of a lot more money, he's worth it. Do you know what I mean? He's worth it. It's about building. It's about building the scene. And I don't think there's enough people out there at the moment that are prepared to travel around the country and put the work in. And by me going to King of the Ronalds, by me doing the Blackburn event, I mean, I don't ask for much for these events. So I kind of do it off my own back. I just think more people should be doing it. I think I'm never going to be a big star. Balski's never going to be a big star. Definition's never going to be a big star. Kruger's never going to be a big star. Unless we all push together and take this thing onto another stage. Because it needs pushing up another notch now.
What is that notch, though?
The notch is, I think the notch will come from... Who's a big footballer at the moment?
Jack Wilshere.
right, Jack Wilshere, Theo Walcott, putting on their Twitter, this don't flop battle, or going to an event or something like that, or wearing a T-shirt for an interview or something like that.
Or even like a Stormzy. I'm like, why doesn't he just like retweet a battle? Come on.
Yeah,
like,
but,
you know.
I mean, there's guys that have like Robbie Williams. The day Robbie Williams said that O'Shea was his hero, that is big.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah. But that's not enough. We need fans. We not just Robbie Williams. I've seen a couple of battles. I'll mention you. We need sort of big level fans.
I know what you mean. I think when you're at the level that we're at, you know, obsessed with this culture, then it does feel quite huge. But on the outside, it's incredibly small. Like Don't Flop, for example, 380,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is fucking nothing. Like that is probably not even top 1,000.
People with no talent that just have the ability to use editing software get more than that. Get more.
They get that ad revenue as well, and that can just help the scene better as well. I mean, you know, for all its arsenals that Don't Flop has, it has just, and it's not their fault. It's just a symptomatic of the scene as a whole. But you know, it's just not got that exposure. It is ridiculous, especially say people like who play FIFA or whatever. You know, those kind of video game streamers. They're just playing copyrighted content. They're not, you know, the creative outlet that Don't Flop is. And
I know. It does my head in. Like, literally, the amount of sort of creativity and time and effort and just talent and, you know, exposure and all that the battle rappers put on. And then we're being compared in the same category with the sort of rude tubes and that as guys that have fallen off of their sofa and, you know, landed in a pile of shit. That's what we're compared as. We're not that. We're talented. We're rappers. We're comedians, and we're performers, and we're artists and poets. There's so many sort of fingers on that same glove. I don't think we're given the recognition that we deserve, and that's what I mean about all grouping together and trying to push it forward. But I don't think that's happening, and that's why I don't think at the moment we're gonna get onto that next stage. And I think what it would take is either an emergence of a lot of good new talent or a lot of talent coming back.
Yeah, talent's scarce these days, right?
Yeah.
There's some good people coming through. Shout out Mackenzie. You know, it's kind of speaking more about the sort of UK domestic scene. Yeah. You know, and then if you want to go a little further back, say Crafty, Heretic, you know, Shocks.
But kind of what my point is that 5 years ago, those guys would have been doing Got Beef, would have been doing this and that, whatever they could sink their teeth into to practice, to perform and to perfect, they would have been going around and doing it. These days, I think there's a sense of entitlement, and as I say, I don't think there's enough battlers these days that are prepared to go and do the shit shows for no money. I think back in the day, there was it was Manchester and London, and all of a sudden, it's like, right, we're doing an event in Norwich. Who sending a group mail out? Who wants to do it? And then me and Balski, we've been wanting to battle for ages. We'll do it. And then he gets hold of me. Mark Grist and Mixie want to battle you and Pedro. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah. So then you've got Mark Grist, Balski, me, Pedro, Mixie, and then do you know what I mean? Two more people jump into that. Moz Prob and I think battled DPF or something.
He battled Toucan at that event.
Is it Toucan? It was DPF was the April Fools. Yeah. So all of a sudden you got Tony D floating around and that, and it's just this hotbed of people just all willing to turn up to Norwich on a Saturday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning just to perform. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think you'll get that back.
No, I don't. It's moved on, hasn't it? For better and for worse. And one of the things that we've lost does seem to be that integrity of the pure nomadic performer that you so brilliantly embodied. But, you know, in a sense, we have these battles to recollect, and we have you. And that's the great thing. And we jump into the final battle from a huge event of last year, Sunburn 2. This was against Harry Baker.
Random pamphlet multi-generator for Harry Baker, a rapid grater. Bodger's badger mate has made a plate of mashed potato. Taylor Pamphlet, Adam's actual name is Adam Taylor. Sense of humour hasn't wavered. Pay a stack of paper to a Spanish waiter for a snack to savour and say make it snappy, make just like an alligator.
Harry, you aware of this guy before the battle? Or?
Harry Baker, yeah, I asked for it.
Oh, you did?
That's the difference between Don't Flop and the Little Leagues, right? Is the Little Leagues, they ask you to battle and then they put you against whoever they can get because they can only afford to pay one guy.
Yeah.
When you do Don't Flop, you can have who you want pretty much in terms of, I wanted Harry Baker and I asked Harry Baker and Harry Baker said yes. And then I said to her, I've got Harry Baker as an opponent. And then it sets itself up in that respect. So
that's fantastic. And, this is a great battle. Shout out to Harry. We had him on the show recently. He was a brilliant guest. He's a wonderful person, wonderful poet, great writer. You're rocking the wrestling hoodie. Rest in peace, Rowdy. This guy, Roddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of kind of Harry Baker style isms here in your first round as well. Repeating the word to a new definition. So your future's mapped out. You passed a level. Yep. You passed A levels. Me, I'm on a Pat Stay level. When God made me, broke the mold to keep me rising. When God made you, he sold the mold to Easter Island. Yep. Brilliant writing. Us cracking up. Really smart stuff. Harry Baker, poor guy. He gets attacked physically quite badly sometimes. Shout out to Okinch.
Did you get the Bill and Ted line?
Yeah, good line.
Yeah.
Good
line.
I
really like that.
Yeah. Shout out his TED talk.
Well, I had time traveling like the Wild Stallions I've had that for about 2 years. I inboxed Shuffle T and said, have you ever heard this multi before? Because time traveling, Wild Stallions.
Yeah. It's the band they're in, right?
Yeah. And then Bill and Ted, and then it kind of finally I had this opportunity to use it because he did the TED Talk stuff and he went to Canada. I've got I don't know. I didn't do enough research into why he went to Canada, but I do know Ted held talks in Canada. So without doing the research in my head, I was like, right, he's gone to Canada.
Yeah, you're kind of halfway there. You've kind of mixed two truths, really. Yeah, he went over to Canada for a teacher kind of arranged for him to go to a school. Right. And the TED Talk, I'm not sure where. I think that was in the UK.
There was definitely, when I typed in TED, it was definitely a Canadian. There was some kind
they're international. Yeah, they're all over the world, TED Talks and TEDx talks. And there's lots of variation on that brand that's kind of, franchised out for intellectuals. Yeah. Pen Game New, like I've just been to Ryman's.
Yep.
Especially because the Easter Island predecessor there. It's as inspiring as a piece of writing entitled My Secret Eating Diary by Lisa Riley. Again, with the soap references.
Yeah, and an old one as well.
Shout out Big Riley. Lisa. I remember Lisa well. I think she lost quite a lot of weight recently. I think she looks pretty good.
Good for her, yeah. Good for her.
Talk about him being in Australia, getting in a Larry Cypher wearing Lycra.
Because I knew, do you know what that was? I knew he put a Facebook status saying, I want to go to Australia. Is how do I do it, basically. And then I'd thought of Hairy Biker as being an Australian way of saying it. So
that's hilarious, man. I think he adopted that as his Twitter moniker for a time. So that was quite the badge. Yeah, Harry, I fucking love his writing style here. All of a sudden, he couldn't give a fuck because he thought about your old battles, asexual. Talk about the people who came back to battling and kind of what he did for their careers. Talks about O'Shea. Talks about Stowaway and says by and large he wasn't really worth coming back for. Quite harsh, Harry, actually.
I think it's because they battled. I think and Stowaway beat him, so I think that's where that come from.
Oh, okay. So I saw that as more of an attack because the Heretic battle the day before, but I think you are right. I think I just read it wrong. He talks about, as I said in the intro, 73 battlers. 73 battles. I couldn't even name 73 battlers. He says, you're kind of down there with Koja and Bloodstro.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't put you in the top half of the league just because you have the biggest top half in the league. Which is really good. And your diet is promoting Arab leaders. It is protein shakes. And his croak in that delivery really makes it as well. Yeah. Harry knows the Ika bar.
Thing is, I've never done bad bars. If I do a bar, I believe in it. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe 2% of any material I've ever spat has been purposefully bad, but I've never said something with the knowledge it's bad. Like I think... Obviously, Shuffle T and Marlowe's Bad Bars battle made that genre.
Yeah.
But I've never been able to force wordplay in that way. It's just... Because it's not what I set out to do.
No, that's fine, man. Yeah. But, I mean, you do have the random multi-generator in this round.
Yeah, so that is what I set out to do. That is my Achilles heel. I think we've all got a few, and I think that's definitely mine.
You kind of go on Greg Rieseski if he's less sexy. His teeth look like a couple of clouds that are hugging. Two front teeth from straight from a pack of quavers. You call out the former WWE Women's Champion. Nice flips. Harry does tons of spitting it darker stuff. Going from the kind of the Strum and Drang here, going from kind of the darker than the symbiote gripping on Peter Parker to the combined shadow of Bowski sitting with Sartus. Which is great. Or how Donald Trump must envision Embalmer, black holes, tadpoles, the pit of the Spartan, and all these throwaways I had for Carter. Harry kills it this round. Really, really good round. He said in our episode that he was kind of putting a defense mechanism in some of his writing where he was kind of anticipating maybe you attacking him for being from a certain perceived privileged position and you kind of, being the antithesis of that. But, he depended on you being sad, didn't he? But the effect is actually really happy, which is kind of a nice kind of twist.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was sort of looking at it in terms of when I was doing all those battles and I was miserable because of it. But now I've stopped doing all those battles, I'm happy. So... I mean, I'm not happy because I stopped doing the battles, but I'm sort of a lot freer, to enjoy my spare time these days.
No, that's great, man, and still writing really well. Talking about his teeth, like paving slabs made of plaque.
Yeah, someone said that to me the other day. Yeah, just when you're trying to think of sort of stuff and you think of what's big. What's big, like is his teeth. What's big? Paving slabs, and then it's made of plaque. It's linking two things together.
Yeah, they look like the igloo thing where Pingu lived.
Yeah, again, I was writing and it didn't come on my TV. I think I was watching the Royal Family and Pingu came on their TV.
Shout out the Royal Family.
Yeah, Pingu came on their TV, and so. And that's where that comes from. Do you know what I mean? Trying to think of something big and white, and then the igloo comes on the screen. And
I should just ask: have you been watching Rovers?
I have been watching Rovers, and I've loved it.
I've liked it as well. Yeah,
I've watched the first 3 episodes. I like that sort of thing.
Yeah, me too. Have you seen Early Doors?
I love Early Doors.
Yeah, me too, man. That's a great series. But the Rovers is I just watched the finale before this episode and
not seen it. So
doesn't disappoint, man. Yeah, no spoilers, but it's good. Yeah. It's very good. And
no, I like Craig Cash. I like Caroline Aherne.
Craig Cash, genius.
I mean, I couldn't stop naming the comedians I like and the sitcoms that I like.
It's good to hear.
I think that's the next challenge for me is to try and write a sitcom.
Wow, I mean, a battle rap one or?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've inboxed Shuffle T the other day and said, "Do you want to write a Don't Flop musical?"
Yes,
but he hasn't got back to me. I think that would. Do you know what? I think that would be the crossover that it needed if you could write a good musical, a battle rap.
Yeah, that's true.
It would have to be a good musical, good songs, and a good storyline.
Yeah, there is a Broadway musical at the moment called Hamilton, which is getting a lot of awards, which has a lot of hip hop elements to it. I don't think it's battling though. There might be some battling in it, but it
Don't Flop as well. It would be based around Aaron Kruger and the characters.
Chronicle trying to down the league on Facebook, and
well, I mean, just the whole Chronicle, yeah,
the whole Chronicle of Chronicles, and O'Shea and the Sense of Stealing, and what other moment to be in the musical? I guess some sort of like long solo Les Mis number of Yunnan and his various beefs. It'd be fantastic. Yeah,
I mean, well, it would be. I think it'd be centered around her. I think it would be the power trip, and then the sort of come down,
the downfall,
and then the rebirth as well. So.
Right. Kind of like a Citizen Kane, like a battle rap. Okay, no, I think that'd be good. Well, that about wraps us up after the Harry battle, and you say you've got the wrestling battle coming up soon with O'Shea, which I'm really excited about. But I mean, what do you envision? Even if you haven't been asked any, are you going to battle again this year?
So I've got. Do you know what? I didn't want to battle at all this year, and I did Bard. 3 weeks ago?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Bard 3 weeks ago. I've got Ty Healy in Nottingham next week. And then I'm doing a pizza battle.
What?
At a pizza festival for Don't Flop.
Ah.
Next month. And then the day after I'm doing a wrestling battle.
So is that pizza themed?
Yeah, 1 round pizza themed, at a pizza festival.
That sounds kind of great. I can't wait for that to come out.
I mean, the thing is with Don't Flop is it's the opportunities, I think. Being part of that league and part of that brand, It's the opportunity to go to a pizza festival or to go to whatever.
No, I agree, man. I'm really happy you're taking these opportunities as well, because like I just know you're going to kill it at this pizza festival thing. Like I can't wait to see all these pizza bars.
But I'm not
trying to think of some pizza bars off the top of my head now. Like,
I can't think of any. It's going to come easily enough. That's the exciting. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that, it comes easily. Novelty stuff comes easily.
Rolling up the dough.
Yeah. Stuffed crust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anchovies.
You could
pepperoni.
If you were facing like Thesaurus, you could compare him to Jabba and be like Pizza Hut.
Is it Pizza Hut? Good one. When Def, I didn't give him any bars, but when I was speaking to Def was battling him, and he was like, have you thought of any over the years? And no, I couldn't. Unless I'm battling someone, I can't think of bars for them. I can't waste my time thinking of bars for them. I remember told me one time when I was sort of 6 months into my career, he said, I bet you just sit there writing for people that you haven't battled yet. But I couldn't do it. I need that opponent there already before I start wasting my time.
Yeah, it does click something off, doesn't it, when they're locked in, and it just suddenly becomes really real. Anyone in past or present that you think, why haven't we battled?
I'd love to battle Thesaurus. I think he's one of the only people that would really get me interested.
There's no reason that battle wouldn't go down in Amsterdam.
Well, I think there is. I think Thesaurus. Do you know what? I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've never really had a big one-on-one battle. I've had the Real Deal and Fresco battle, but that wasn't proper. They didn't try, and I didn't have one-on-one. There's people these days, right, that do 3 or 4 big battles and they get an international, and I know I never had that.
Yeah, but you and Thesaurus would be absolutely spectacular. I think he'd do it.
The reason I've never had it...
You're a legend, like he's a legend.
No, they wouldn't do it, mate, honestly. I hope anyway. Well, I've never pushed it, but I hope shops me to these guys, or did anyway when I was big. And I don't think they want it. I think they wanted O'Shea, they wanted Definition, they wanted Kruger, and then I think... As I left, I think they opened themselves up to more. But I think I missed the boat in terms of having 3, 4, 5 big performances, like Big J. No offence to Big J, but I remember going to... I love you, Big J. But I remember going to do a 2-on-2 with him in Reading. It was a freestyle. I think I was lying on my bed on a Sunday afternoon thinking, I've got nothing to do. Saw that Orcs and Rogue were having an event. And I set up me and Big J versus Orcs and Rogues. And about 2 hours later, we were in Reading. And on the way there, he was going, you're like a fortnight because you're too weak. And I was thinking, all right, Big J. All right, mate. But he's come on leaps and bounds. But he's had what? Dirtbag Dan, Uno... Marv 1.
He paid for Marv 1, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but still, that's 3 big battles there, man. One after the other.
So Saurus is the big one you want the scalp of.
That's him and Kid Twist. They're my 2.
Yeah, I love Kid Twist. That's a good one.
Yeah. They're my 2. But I don't think they'll happen. I'm not thinking about that anymore.
I think maybe something that could happen, and I'd like to see happen at training days. You and Soweto?
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah. He's one of maybe 5 people I'd come back for. Come back for.
No, I had him on the pod recently, and the guy's so fucking talented. Like his battles are just they really are like awe-inspiring. Just the speed, his mind, his attack. Yeah. He guy knows how to battle as well, and I think you and him would just have some hilarious trade-offs. Like,
do you know what though? Yeah, I'm a normal person, right?
Yep.
I grew up with a bunch of talented people in bands, singers, songwriters. I was always the last one. I was never on stage. I never had a mic. I was never writing with them. And to be considered, to be talked about in the same breath as Harry Baker, Soweto Kinch, O'Shea, these sort of talented people, that's I can't ask for any more out of my battle rap career than that, really.
No.
To be considered up there with those guys, I think that's great.
You're right up there, man. And we'll wrap up with a few quick-fire questions. Just answer anything. I mean, I say favourite here, but just anything off the top of your head that you enjoy. First of all, Pam, your favourite King of the Dot battle?
King of the Dot battle, the Saurus versus Dirtbag Dan.
Wow. Okay. Reasons?
because that was up to about 2 years ago. If I wanted to show someone why I love battle rap that had never seen it before, I'd show them that one.
And because there
was flips, there was multi-syllabics, there was funny people doing funny things, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, the vibe of that era of North American battle rap was fantastic. And
I mean, King of the Dot used to be amazing. And I'm not, it's not a racist thing or anything like that, but I think there's been a large influx of URL battle rappers that have come in there and taken more than they've given, really. And I think when you had your Poe Riches and your Nat Selects, and you just sort of multi-syllabic, young, exciting battle rappers, your Sharones coming in, and I think it's just changed so much. It has. CL, a guy called CL. I used to love watching CL.
Oh, okay.
You wouldn't even know who he was.
He's lost in the YouTube pages down there.
Yeah. He's just a guy from Montreal now.
Dare I ask, favourite URL battle then, or don't you have one?
No, I don't have one, yeah.
No, fair enough, man. And a favourite Don't Flop then? Do you have a favourite Don't Flop battle?
Can
I ask that?
Yeah, favourite Don't Flop battle. Give me 20 seconds.
Right, no worries.
English Kruger.
Wow, early.
Yeah. It has to be early because that's what made it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to get dressed, you're going to put your pants on first, and I think that was the underwear.
No, good choice. And penultimate one, your favourite musical act or band or artist that is in no way hip-hop related?
I mean, most of my favourites are in no way hip-hop related. My Chemical Romance, Britney Spears. I like a bit of Foo Fighters.
Nice.
I mean, I couldn't go into it now. There's a million people I like.
And you make music yourself?
I have made music myself.
Where can people hear it?
Bandcamp, Taylor Adams Music, bandcamp.tayloradamsmusic.com. First album's a lot better than the second album. First album took me a week to make. I split up with my girlfriend at the time.
Right.
And wrote and recorded a whole album. And I said, do you know what? I sold so many of those albums, yeah. I had T-shirts made at the time. I thought I could live on music. I didn't sign on for about 3 months. I was just earning money off of CD sales, T-shirts and battles. And that lasted for about 6 weeks, great. And then 6 weeks horrible of having no money and owing and debt and all sorts. But
yeah.
I thought I could do it for a time there. It seemed possible.
Everyone does. It's pipe dream. And finally, your favourite film?
So I've got, can I give you a few?
Please.
Wayne's World, Wayne's World 2.
Yeah.
Scream. Trainspotting, Pulp Fiction, Dumb and Dumber.
Cracker said Pulp Fiction, yeah.
Did he? Dumb and Dumber, I'd say. Dumb and Dumber's probably my favourite, actually.
Okay, yeah, great shout, man.
Biodome with Paulie Shaw.
How do people find you, finally? Twitter, Facebook, or...? People
find me because I'm the tallest motherfucker in the room.
Yeah. How tall are you, actually?
6'4".
6'4", yeah, you are a big guy, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I think if Pat Stay wanted to come to England and battle anyone, I don't think he'd get a better battle than anyone out of anyone than me.
No, Tony, maybe?
I think I'd look him square in the eye. Yeah, no, I mean, they're obviously they're better.
You mean just in terms of vertical?
In terms of vertical, and I think I'd try and wind him up in a way that other people wouldn't. Like I would be physical with him.
That'd be really good. That'd be really good to see. I hope that Battle of the Brave, when they bring Pat back, it's Pat versus Pamphlet. That will just, that is what ministry needs.
Do me a favour and don't hold your breath.
But anyway, man, thank you so much.
No worries. I've enjoyed it.
I
think it's great you're doing this sort of thing. It's a big scene and it needs representing in this sort of way.
That's it, man. Just I think, like yourself, listen to a lot of podcasts of various different worlds and fashions, and always wanted something like this in depth. And have to say thank you to everyone that's been a part of it, especially yourself. And people, go check out Pamphlet's battles. Check out all the battles we've spoken about today. There's lots.
I'd say Blizzard's my favourite. I'd say try.
Yeah. What else would you recommend? Yeah, Blizzard.
I'd say the Blizzard one, the Bleak one. Yeah, there's a few out there, but the Blizzard. Basically, the more views it's got, probably the more you'll like it.
Yeah. And so your most viewed battle actually is the obviously Joker definition, but your most viewed battle in terms of actual battle is Sigourney Fizzle.
Yeah.
167, and then just close after is Blizzard, and then your doubles with Mark Grist, obviously teaming up with Pedro. Pamphlet.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I put that down to? That Don't Flop versus Fizzle being one of the highest views is the fact that Lunacy's on the thumbnail. I think he's on the thumbnail anyway.
Yeah, he is. He used to be. They've blocked his face off now with a DF in the middle, but yeah. He used to be. Which is it just shows. Do you know what? I was round. It's a goal. They always have a bump, don't they? If it's
but not that much of a bump. That's huge. What is it? 2-4 or something?
It's 267. Yeah.
267. Yeah, that's just mental.
Yeah, that is.
I went to my hometown. I don't go very often, but I was in a local pub, and I went to the toilet, and I heard two boys chatting, and one said to the other, "Oh, Pamphlet's in this pub tonight," and everyone went, "Oh no, I wonder if he knows Lunacy." Yeah. So.
And do you?
I know Lunacy, yeah. I'll get his autograph for you if you want.
He's jumped in some hot water recently, actually. Again, I just want to timestamp this episode, but he tweeted, I don't know if you saw this, he tweeted about running a train on Nigel Farage's daughter or something like that. Search Lunacy controversy, you'll find it. But yeah, no, he's had his head called for, and he's had to apologise officially on Twitter, and there's been loads of articles about notorious UK rapper does this, and yeah, it's bad, man. So
I mean, at the end of the day, right? The more eyes you've got on you, the more wrong you can do. No, I think if people care about you, or if people know you exist, then it's like with Mickey with that James Arthur thing. He blew up because of that. All he would have had to have done off that James Arthur thing was stab someone or something, and he would have been a mega celebrity by now.
How did that happen? That James Arthur thing again?
Because he just what gets me about Don't Flop, is we're not famous, but there's always that underlying feeling of, do people know who we are? And I think James Arthur knew who Mickey was because of the battles and because of the battles he watched. So when Mickey insulted James Arthur got pissed off about it and had tried to play battle rapper for a little bit. Even he's not in that position where he can do so. No, but. It is weird being a battle rapper. It's weird being a battle rapper because 1 out of every 5,000 people knows who you are, but they really know who you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They really care about who you are. So you never know if someone's looking at you because they recognise you from your Blizzard battle or because you've got a massive bit of bacon on your upper lip,
You are ultra recognisable as well, so it's definitely there. But yeah, thank you so much, man. This has been a pleasure, and I'm a huge fan, so I really appreciate it. But anyway, guys, that's about us done. So if you want to get in contact, battlerapresume@gmail.com, @battlerapresume. Please comment on this as well. Please check out Pamphlet's music as Bandcamp, was it? Taylor Adams Music. .bandcamp.com, and you'll come across that. It's on his Verse record page as well, but just search Pamphlet and you'll discover it. And you're on Twitter, MC Pamphlet, all one word.
Do you know what? I've got a fake Pamphlet profile that's not me. It's never been me. I've had people contact me talking about conversations that I've had with them on Twitter that I never had. My MC Pamphlet page, I lost the email for, and not only did I lose that, I lost my phone, right, that had me logged into my email and my Twitter, and I couldn't remember either password, so I've lost my email and my Twitter. So I can't be bothered with Twitter anyway. Facebook, Taylor Adams.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. Okay, thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Love you, bye.
You only walk alone on this earth. The reason I've been so evilly dope in the verse is cause I've been a stoner since birth. Now I've arose from the stones in the dirt to try and get over the hurt, or at least over the blow from the lows that occur. Nobody wanted to be homeless for sure, but now you're trying to get comfy in a coat on the floor. It's like you ain't got no hope anymore. Down low, don't care if the dope that you score ain't totally pure or doesn't bear thinking about. Start sniffing a mouse when there's a drink in your mouth. Sick in the kitchen till you're near to your drowns, and the experience is weirding you out, but you ain't feeling to bounce. So don't take advice, no, just let your mind go. But when it's time for you to come back, I hope you try though, cause every day with a brain that ain't able to try and get back is why you in fact just wasted your time on this planet.